Welcome to La Seu in Spain. We're in the Spanish Pyrenees for the 2019 ICF Canoe Slalom World Championships. It's the final day of competition, and these 63 nations and 382 athletes are now into the sharp end of racing. It is the women's C1 and the men's K1 semi-finals, where we get the field down into a 10-boat final where they fight it out for the world title of 2019. An extra dimension to this racing is it is also the first global qualifier for Olympic quota places for the Tokyo Olympic Games. But we're here 700 meters above sea level in the foothills of the Pyrenees in this fantastic Olympic park built for the 1992 Olympic Games. Still a little bit fresh in this autumn morning, but a perfect weather forecast for today. Myself, Andy Maddock, in the commentary box through these semi-finals, and I'm pleased to say I'm being joined by Sona Stanovska of the Slovak team, junior world medalist in the kayak and the canoe event. So welcome, Sona.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone.
Well, here is the start list. We started off with 71 boats in this women's C1 competition, and through the heats we got down to just the top 30, and now a single run semi-final will narrow the field down into 10 boats for the final. The fastest boat from those heats, Jessica Fox, she goes off last in the semi-final, but some big names and well, lots of tight competition, and particularly in terms of the Olympic boat quota place, we have 19 nations in this 30-boat semi-final, and only 11 nation quota places will be awarded at this competition. So you can see on this autumn morning, the temperatures still pretty cold for the athletes. They'll be warming up. There's a bit of sunshine up on the warm-up lake, but down here in the shade of the trees, then it's a little bit fresher. 30 boats racing at 2.5-minute intervals down this 25-gate course, and well, fast and clean is the name of the game. Canoe slalom is all about negotiating the course in the gates in number order, green and white gates in the downstream direction, red and white in an upstream direction, and we're underway with racing. And we start with Great Britain's Sophie Ogilvie, who has had 2 finals this season in the World Cup season, as well as a final at the European Championships earlier on this year. Oh, it's a great shot of the mist here on this fresh morning. Sophie Ogilvie gets the opportunity to set the pace for others still to come. And this 25-gate course, Sona, where do you think the big challenges are?
I think that maybe each combination, but now where she is, the middle part, I think it's the most tricky one.
Yes, you're right. This double upstream 10 and 11, a lot of time trading hands. Certainly we watched the semi-finals and finals yesterday in the men's C1 and the women's K1. There we saw, well, gold in the men's C1 went to France. Cédric Joly taking his first world title, and in the women's K1 the honours went to Eva Tersel of Slovenia, again taking her first world title. So Sophie Ogilvie keeping it tidy down the middle section of the course, starting to build that lactic acid in the arms as she comes into the upstream gate 20.
It was quite surprising who won yesterday, and also many good paddlers had mistake, for example Ricarda, because I thought before the race that she will be the one who will take medal for sure, but she doesn't. So
yeah, there was a lot at stake yesterday. We saw the defending champion Franz Anton not making it into the men's C1 final, as Sophie Ogilvie just picks up another penalty at the bottom of the course on gate 24. So total time 115.97 seconds. That includes 4 seconds in penalties. And well, it's a solid run. We know that the men's C1 got just under 90 seconds, was the fastest run time. So well, my guess for winning this semi-final will be potentially round about the 100 seconds. What do you think, Sona?
Yeah, 100 second or 105, maybe.
Well, 30 boats, and we would expect, in theory, the times to come down through the competition because they are reverse seeded from the heats. As we look at Victoria Dobrotvorska of the Ukraine on course. So best performance in the 2019 World Cup series was 8th at the second World Cup of the season in Bratislava in Slovakia. So she's definitely capable of making it into the top 10. And do you think, Sona, there'll be any tactical paddling here in the semi-finals, a bit less risk-taking?
I think that the good paddlers, they won the risk because they knew that maybe good normal run will be enough. But paddlers which don't have the best ranking, I think they need to risk a little bit.
Yes, I think that's a good point, and there's a lot at stake as well, isn't there? It's not just getting into that World Championship final. That's at 12 o'clock Central European time. We'll be live with that. But also it's those Olympic boat quota places because, yes, fierce competition and only 11 places up for grabs, and there's 19 nations in this semi-final. Well, Victoria is putting a good run here, and she looks really attacking through this difficult offset sequence, 16, 17, 18 and 19.
I think it's also hard to make a clear run because the gates are really close to each other, and if you don't want to make any mistake like touching a gate, you have to go straight to the middle of the gate, so it's quite hard to make it here.
Yeah, we saw a lot of really good runs, though, falter on the bottom part of the course, and we're seeing that now. And Victoria looks like she might well have been upside down in 25, but whatever it is, it's a big time loss. If you are upside down, then you pick up a 50-second penalty. So she's gone back for 25, but that 50-second penalty stands because she's upside down in the gate line. And a good run has all gone down the drain at the bottom part of the course. And disappointment there for Victoria Dobrotvorska of Ukraine, who goes into second place.
It will be quite hard because Victoria Usz, she made the quota in K1 and now she needs to make it again in C1, but she can't because she already made a quota in K1.
That's a good point. That's one of the sort of small print of the Olympic qualification process, is that yes, once an athlete has qualified an Olympic quota place in any of the categories, they cannot then qualify another quota place, or I think the actual rule is that the country has to choose which one they choose and then hand it back. So on course now, Alja Kozarog of Slovenia. Slovenia had a good day yesterday, bronze in the men's C1 with Luka Bozic and then gold with Eva Tersel. Can they follow that up? But already a 2-second penalty on gate 5 showing on the clock. So the women's C1 really, well, it's made its debut here on the World Championship programme as a demonstration event in 2009. 10 years ago, the women's C1 was an exhibition event, and it will make its debut in the Tokyo Olympic Games next year. And it's interesting because I look back at who was on the podium in that demonstration event, and there's still some familiar names. So gold medal went to Leanne Guinea of Australia, then Rosalind Lawrence, who's racing here for Australia and will be in this semi-final, and bronze medal went to Jessica Fox of Australia.
I didn't know this before.
So that was the first time it was, well, it wasn't an official World Championship event at that point, it was demonstration, and it made its full World Championship debut in 2010 in the World Championships in Tarsen in Slovenia. A late penalty there from the Slovenian paddler, and it's so easy at the bottom of the course just to pick up a penalty there, but still into first place for Alja Kozarog of Slovenia, but +4, so a time of 1:12.85, but that has left the door open. So the time coming down 1:08 +4. There's the penalty at the top of the course. So Sonny, you've paddled on this course a lot in preparation. Well, how hard is that bottom section when you're physically at the
The water changed there a lot, so you need to take care of everything. And as we saw with Victoria Dobrodvorska, how the water changed for her, and unfortunately then she made Eskimo, so it's really hard. And plus there is the biggest jump on this course, so
yeah, it's nicknamed Niagara.
yeah.
I think that was nicknamed when it was at the 1992 Olympics. It's stuck ever since. And well, into the top few gates it is now. Alexandra Stach of Poland. So she has had a good season so far. 6th at the 2019 European Championships, 7th at the Under-23 World Championships, and well, she has made a final at World Cup level, but not since 2017.
Yeah, but she also pedaled C2 with her coach, C2 Mix, and last year in Rio they won it, the world champion title.
Dynamic C2 is coming up later on today on the final day of racing here in La Seu, and what a recovery there. Bows buried on the run from 13 to 14, but really composed. She gets that back.
Until now she has a clear run, and the others, Alia, which is now winning, she doesn't, so
yeah, so she's a little bit down on the split, but remember, there is a penalty. Alia picked up that penalty on the bottom part of the course, so now a penalty showing on the downstream 18 for Alexandra Stach. This is the critical move, and well, difficulty there for Alexandra. She's recovered it. She won't pick up any penalties, but it will hurt her on the clock, and more problems there. It's so important, isn't it, to get them run into the upstream 23, because it does help you with the line on the exit and the last two gates. So slips away at the bottom for Alexandra Stach of Poland, and you can see the frustration in her face. So it is still Alia Kozorog of Slovenia, the early leader in this 30 boat World Championship semi-final. We're live from La Seu Urgell in Spain, and well, really looking forward to how the day unfolds as we determine who will be crowned world champion in the women's C1 and in the men's K1 events, as well as the mixed C2 later on. But here's a name who has made her mark on the international stage this season. It is Evie Liebfarth of the United States of America. So she was 6th overall in the World Cup, 10th in the Junior World Championships, and she took a bronze medal in the World Cup in Tarsen, the 3rd World Cup of the season, and at the time she was only 15 years old. Quite a different style, really attacking style, that she uses high stroke rate.
yeah, she pedals so fast, but she's really light, so it works with her really good.
So, well, she's got an advantage on the top, 3.39, and looking like she's done well through 10 and 11. A tricky, fiddly little move where you've really got to feel the water. Nicely done on 13 to 14. That's absolutely how to do it. How many times have you practiced that move in training? There's some quite standard moves here in this course, but it doesn't make them any easier.
I think that this combination under the bridge is here on almost every race, so everyone before.
So a little bit trimmed, the advantage, but 1.9 now is her advantage over race leader Alia Kozorog of Slovenia as she comes towards the bottom drop. This is the critical move that will determine whether she's still in the mix for a place in the final. Nicely done on 23. Now she's got to settle the boat, make sure she doesn't cut the line. And Evie Liebfarth of the United States of America surely is going to take the race lead here and put herself in a good position for a place in the final. Well done, Evie. 108.79. You are our new race leader.
I think that this might be enough for Olympic quota.
That's a good point, isn't it? Because that Olympic quota was most likely to be around about probably 15th place, maybe. If you think of 11 nations, there's a few nations in this semi-final with more than one boat. And, well, it was a good performance. So, Avi Liebfarth, now 16 years old, for the United States of America, leads after 5 boats. 25 boats to go in this women's C1 semi-final. And next up it is Elena Appel of Germany. She had a good day yesterday in the women's kayak event, finishing in the final. She qualified through in the final. I think she was 9th in that final. And as you said earlier, then Germany disappointed really. Ricarda Funk was probably one of the favourites to take the gold medal, and a little mistake in the final left her in 5th place.
I think that Elena is practicing with her, or in a group with the senior team, so I think that this helps her really a lot.
Yes, indeed, I think you're right, and certainly that getting into a training group is quite a good way of progressing and pushing each other forwards. Gets quite difficult when it comes towards Olympic selection, though, when there's only one boat place up for grabs. So Elena Appel just a little bit low on 14, but she is running the boat well.
Yeah, she didn't make any big mistake yet.
So these athletes kneeling in the boat with a single bladed paddle. They have strapped in, so they've got a maximum purchase, and they can really throw the boat around and give it absolute direction, as she looks very composed on this bottom section of the course. Elena Appel now, just cutting the line on 21. That'll be a 2-second penalty, but it's a great line into 23. So sneaks around 24, 25, but is it going to be outside the time of Avi Liebfarth? I think it is. Into 2nd place for Germany's Elena Appel, and it is still Avi Liebfarth leading for the United States of America with 24 boats still to go. Here we see, there's that penalty, just a little bit too tight out of the upstream 20. And setting up 2021, 22, just a 2-second penalty, and that makes all the difference between 1st and 2nd at the moment. Well, next to start is Luca Jones of New Zealand. Well, she'll have put her celebrations from yesterday on hold so that she can get ready for today, because she took the bronze medal in the women's K1 event at the World Championships, a personal best for her. She's the Olympic silver medalist in kayak from Rio 2016, and relatively new to the women's C1 event, but always gets stronger and stronger every event she competes in.
She started to race C1 a little bit too late, like the other girls, but she's improving every year, and we can see how good she is now.
She's got a really good reach, hasn't she? She's very tall, and using that to her advantage at the moment. 0.68 up on race leader Avi Liebfarth of the United States of America.
This was really fast.
Was really good, really reactive. So important to feel the water on that move. Wow, that was good as well, and the switch was seamless.
Yes, such an amazing run.
So Luca Jones on fire here in this semi-final. Now, can she keep it together? Look at that, 3.97 seconds up on the split. So now she's got to keep her focus, keep the run of the boat. That's what's making her so strong on this run. But this is the critical move. Over Niagara, into the upstream.
She knew this course really well because of the yesterday K1. So I think that it also helped the girls in racing in C1.
It's a stunning run, and into the race lead, 105.26 for Luca Jones of New Zealand. So she continues her form here in the World Championships, having taken bronze yesterday. That surely will be good enough for a boat quota place. That said, she'll have to hand one back, because if she takes the boat quota place for New Zealand in both categories, then she'll have to choose which one goes back. But A strong performance there, 105.26, and surely that's good enough for a place in, well, I think that'll be good enough for a place in the final.
I think so.
So the first of our local paddlers is on course now from Andorra, just up the road here, taking a different line on the top part of the course. It's Monica Doria Villarubla, and interesting, is that a local line, do you think?
Well, yesterday just the Spanish used this line to go the middle rock from the right side and no one else. So I don't know, I think it's more depends on which hand you are paddling.
It's a good point, isn't it? So Monica Doria Villarubla, well, she's a European junior champion, and she was 8th this year at the Under-23 World Championships, and she's just ahead on the early split here. So trains on this course day in, day out, really. Just based here, and this great course built for the 1992 Olympic Games. And we're keeping it clean at the moment, and surely should be challenging Luca Jones, but Luca Jones was so good in the middle section.
Yeah, she a little bit went too low in the upstream, and Luca made it much better. But otherwise, it's still such a good run.
Well, that's good through the downstreams there, ducking and diving, but keeping the boat in the flow. So it looks like it's going to be a competitive run here for Monica Doria Villarubla of Andorra as she comes into the bottom move. She must have done this hundreds of times, this upstream, and really good run through there. So it's going to be a quick run. It may even be quicker than Jones of New Zealand. It is. She finds time on the bottom. Monica Doria Villarubla of Andorra takes the race lead, and the time coming down further, 104.59, and we've just had 8 boats, so still 22 boats to go down in this women's C1 semi-final here at the World Championships, and only 10 places are up for grabs for that women's C1 final. What do you think to that?
Well, here in Laseo, you never know what will happen because the water changed a lot. So even maybe Monica, she had such a good run, but maybe it won't be enough. So.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. But next up, we have the first of 2 Czech boats, and it is Eva Rehova. So her best in 2019 World Cup was 11th. Can she make it into the top 10 here at the World Championships? So this top part of the course is it's technical, isn't it? There's been quite a few penalties on the upstream gate 5.
Maybe it's a little bit low.
So 2.35, a deficit already, and maybe extended now for Eva Rehova of the Czech Republic because a 2-second penalty on the downstream gate 8. So it's just amazing the journey that the women's C1 class has had really since it made its debut here 10 years ago, and the quality of the field here, 71 boats, and well, as you found out to your cost, it was a really tricky heats and tough competition to get through even into the top 30 for this semi-final.
Well, for me, it's better to see C1 women's or K1 women, so I will choose C1 because for me it's more interesting to see how they switching the pedal, and K1 it's quite everyone do the same, but here each girl change her pedal on the other place.
Yes, and for anyone familiar with watching the competitions over the season, and we've talked a lot about how the women's C1 have actually influenced the men's C1 in that switching from side on the paddle in order to optimize the performance, and it's only 6th place for Eva Rehova of the Czech Republic. With those penalties, it's disappointing there, 2 touches, and well, that could be significant in terms of nation qualification, but we still have Teresa Fisarova of the Czech Republic to come in this World Championship semi-final.
For Czechs, this means the first race, which will qualify them to the Olympics. Then they have their national selections, and then Europeans.
Yeah, so little battles between inside the teams as well as between the different countries. So all to play for here in the World Championships. But the first of our competitors from the People's Republic of China, it is Shi Chen, 19th at the World Championships last year, Asian champion in 2017, but 5th at the last World Cup of the season. So she's very capable. I think Shi Chen's been on the podium as well a few years ago. But an early penalty on gate 4. So the first round of Olympic boat quota places allocated here in the World Championships. Then the second round will be allocated around continental competitions. So each of the continents will have a competition to allocate remaining spaces, and that will determine the field for the 2020 Olympic Games, which are they get underway in 299 days' time. Not long now, but it's low on gate 14 for Shi Chen of the People's Republic of China, and just looking like she's fighting the water a little bit. Needs to refocus, get back into the rhythm. And that was really where Monica Doria Villarubla was so strong. She really attacked the course, but worked in harmony with the white water. But it's tight into 20. That's a good move on there. So coming into the upstream 23. That's solid. It's not the fastest line, but Shi Chen of the People's Republic of China pushed around by the white water. Another penalty picked up on gate 24, and it's going to be outside the top 5 into 8th place for Shi Chen of the People's Republic of China, and well, that is quite significant. She's the only representative for the People's Republic of China in this semi-final, so could be significant in terms of Olympic boat quota place qualification. But it's still Monica Doria Villarubla of Andorra leading, as we are now a third of the way through this women's C1 semi-final. So next to start, taking the River Right line down the top part of the course, it's Julia Schmidt of Hungary. Used to paddle for Austria and has been quite successful in this category, the women's C1. Now paddling for Hungary, but already a 2-second penalty on the top and another one on gate 4. So she's actually a 2-time European Championship silver medalist in this women's C1 category.
On the first part, you have to turn your boat on really good place, otherwise you will touch it or not turning so much. So
you're right, the top part of the course, it's not got any big moves, has it? But you've still got to get the lines right. You've got to get the run of the boat, and it's easy to pick up the odd penalty. That sign on the bank is going to get some beating today, I think.
Also yesterday, many people smash it.
So, well, it's a good move there, Julia. Excellent through 13 to 14, really working well with the water. And the athletes make it look easy. This is the World Championship semi-final, we'd expect that. But the precision you need on some of these feature moves is pretty key, isn't it?
Yeah, now she made unplanned spin. So again, losing so much time.
So 8.48 down on the second split. It's a big, big mountain to climb on the bottom part of the course, and I fear there's no way back from there. This course is so tight and technical, there's very little place to make up time, but there's plenty of opportunities to lose time. And there's another penalty on 24 as she comes in towards the finish line. Julia Schmidt of Hungary goes into 9th place. So still Monica Doria Villarubla leading for Andorra. Luca Jones of New Zealand in 2nd place, and Avi Liebfarth of the United States of America in 3rd at the moment. 11 boats down, 19 boats still to go in this World Championship semi-final, and they are the fastest 19 boats from the heats earlier on in this competition. So next to start, we have two athletes from the Russian Federation. First up is Polina Mukhaliva, who has had 3 World Cup finals this season. 16th last year at the World Championships, and very capable of getting in. But there, another penalty, another early penalty on the top of the course. And how do you refocus if you make a mistake at the top of the course? What's your skill? What do you do to make sure you're not distracted?
I think it really depends which race, because, for example, here I would still continue and try to make at least quota, if not final. But, for example, if you are already in final and you make a mistake like 50, then you know that you are already out of good result.
Yes.
But it's more about the personality. Someone straight after first missing gate, they just don't do it anymore, and some are still fighting.
And it's a big skill, but a big mistake there for Polina Mukhaliva of the Russian Federation. So catches her edge, and you can see the power of the water, then flips the boat over. She has rolled back up. She won't pick up any penalties, but wow, that will hurt her on the clock here. And it looks like Monica Doria Villarubla of Andorra still holding firm at the top of the leaderboard. So we were talking about making mistakes, and I think Luka Bozic yesterday was a great example. He took a penalty up on the top of the course for Slovenia. He set the fastest time of the day in the final. He had a 2-second penalty, but he still got the bronze medal.
Yeah, maybe at the start line, for example, to me, my dad always come and like say this time it might be enough, and tell me how the others do it. So this helps me a lot, but some athletes really don't like it to hear what's going on before they run. So
yes, everyone has a personal preference, don't they? And well, Polina Mukhaliva of the Russian Federation into 11th place, and well, disappointment there for Paulina. Yes, everyone has a personal preference, and particularly, I guess, in the final, if you hear early on that someone's gone quicker than anyone managed in the semi-final, yeah, at the end of the day, you've still got a plan, haven't you? You've planned how you want to go down the course as quickly as you think is possible, and the last thing you need to do is suddenly change your plan 30 seconds before you start. But it's also, inevitably you hear some of that information over, the loudspeaker and things, and it's really important to be able to deal with that information, isn't it?
yeah.
So on course now, it is Lucie Priou of France coming down through gate 7 and gate 8. So in touch, 3/4 of a second down on the split, but still in touch. 9th at the under-23 Worlds this year, and finalist at the World Championships in 2017 at senior level. A little bit untidy through 10 and 11.
So many Frenchies came here just to see the race and support their people from their country. That's what I really like to see here.
Yes, it's almost a bit of a second home for the French, isn't it?
Yep.
Just over the Pyrenees, they make the journey, and yes, strong support for the team, and not just the slalom team, but the wild water team, who've been racing in the championships here as well. France taking gold in the men's C1 in this slalom event yesterday, Cédric Joly, and well, the crowd certainly made some noise for that. Lucie Priou now, a great line into 23. Well, she's got a good run of the boat, but those now 2 penalties are going to be expensive, and it's slipping away, and only 5th for Lucie Priou of France. So still Monica Doria Villarubla leading for Andorra, and Luca Jones of New Zealand in 2nd, Avi Liebfarth of the United States of America holding on to 3rd as we get towards the halfway point in this Women's C1 World Championship semi-final. Well, here is a big name. Australia's Rosalind Lawrence, as it says on the screen, two-time World Cup winner in the women's C1 and a real pioneer of the women's C1 since it first came onto the international stage here in 2009. She took the silver on that occasion. Wasn't an official World Championship that year, but very much instrumental in how this sport has evolved to where it is now 10 years on. So Ros has actually taken a few years out of paddling. 2 or 3 years ago she's come back. She's coming back stronger, but not as consistent as she used to be, and that is what's going to determine whether she can make it into the final. She's very capable of making it into this World Championship final. She'll need to find some of that consistency that well, she used to have, and she had when she won the 2 World Cup titles over those seasons a few years ago. A little bit late setting up for 13 to 14, but she makes it look easy.
Yeah, I thought that she won't do it because she was a little bit out of the way, but she made it so good.
So that's really showing her experience, her composure, not to panic. She was a bit out of shape, but just making sure she puts the weight in the right place, times the stroke, and again here a little bit more having to work hard, not quite such a straight line through that sequence, but she's really running the boat okay. So Rosalind Lawrence of Australia now, this crunch move into the 23, and she should have enough speed to clear 24 and 25, get that line. It's nice through there. She's going to be outside the lead time, but it's a clean run for Rosalind Lawrence of Australia, and into 5th place. It's deceptive, isn't it? The time just slips away in various places on the course, because she didn't really do much wrong there, but she finds herself 7.6 seconds down on our race leader, Monica Doria Villarubla of Andorra.
Yeah, but between 1st and 3rd place there is 4 seconds, so quite big distance.
Yes, and of course we've still got the fastest people from the heats to come in this semi-final. We're nearing the halfway point as we see our first Spanish paddler paddling on their home course at these World Championships. It's Clara Olazabal. On course, she made a final earlier on in the season at the first World Cup of the season in Lee Valley in Great Britain, the Olympic venue from the London 2012 Olympics. And she was a Junior World Championship finalist in 2016. Yeah, I think you're right. You said about the pole heights. The pole heights on Gate 5 don't look particularly generous, do they?
No. But at the heats we had all the poles was too high, I think.
Yeah, the pole heights, it's such a critical job, and our course designers Mark Delaney and Marianne Agulon have, I know, been working really hard over the course of the competition, not only in setting the gates to provide a fair challenge, but also in making sure that the poles, where possible, are at appropriate height. Not too high for the judges, that makes the judging a little bit harder to be consistent. And Clara Olazabal is, well, looking tidy. She's 0.41 down on the first split, so she's very much in touch and looking calm, looking composed as she comes down into gate 16, 17 and 18. That's a good line there, staying in the flow. Now, gate 20. It's a fiddly little gate, gate 20, isn't it? The back end of the boat drags down the rock on the exit.
Yeah, but on this course we have also at the first part gates like this, and also this gate it's straight, and the rock is right next to the gate, so you need to turn your bow before the rock.
Well, it's a good run for Clara Olazabal of Spain, 108.56. It's a clean run, and well, that's a good solid run. And when we're thinking about the Olympic quota places as well, that puts her into the mix there, 3rd place, because 19 nations, as we said earlier on, represented in this women's C1 semi-final. And at the end of the competition, the top 11 nations will earn a boat quota place for the Tokyo Olympic Games. So still Monica Doria Villarubla leading for Andorra, time of 1:04.59 as we watch Klaudia Swolinska of Poland on course. She can be very quick, but consistency is something that is, well, not her forte at the moment in this season.
Yeah, for her this is just second season where she's paddling also the C1. Before she did just K1.
So a penalty on gate 2 at the moment. And it's interesting to note that the top 4 at the moment in this semi-final, all with no penalties, all clean down this 25 gate course. So Klaudia Swolinska now into this upstream 10-11, this double upstream sequence, and how difficult is that move, 10-11? They make it look easy.
Yeah, but you need to turn a little bit before the gate, the 11 gate, because otherwise you hit the wall. So, but it's really tricky because the water changed there are bubbles. And
yeah, you've really got to feel the water, haven't you? Spot it and be patient.
yeah, and more almost each girl is switching her pedals, so it's quite hard to go and not have a pedal in the water.
Or it's a little mistake there as well for Klaudia as she comes in late from 19 and low into 20. No penalties added on that occasion, but the time slipping away. Good line though on 23. So this is what you were saying, wasn't it? You've got to get your bows down.
Yeah.
24 to 25, and just again being hooked into the eddy, and the time slipping away at the end. 1:15.07 for Klaudia Swolinska of Poland, and only into 9th place. So we're now past the halfway mark in this women's C1 semi-final of the World Championships here in La Seu Urgell in Spain, in the Spanish Pyrenees, and it's a fresh autumn morning here. Athletes all fairly dressed up, make sure that they are fully warmed up. And well, here is a paddler who could do something special, Marta Bertoncelli of Italy. She's taken a bronze and silver medal at the Junior World Championships over the last 2 years. Now emerging onto the senior stage, and well, sometimes you see the junior athletes, the athletes transitioning into the seniors, racing with no fear.
Yeah, because like for us, it's still the main race to have a junior title, and if you are in final at the senior level, it just means that you are really good, and so. But it's like a bonus.
Yes, that's right. The focus is on those junior championships, which normally take place in July time. And well, it's solid through 11 for Bertoncelli of Italy. And Italy have, well, just the one representative in this semi-final, so their boat quota place qualification at this round is dependent on getting in the top 11 places on this run. So that's quite a lot of added pressure, isn't it?
Yeah, but we could see her on the start line that she was really focused and really calm.
Yeah, she's clean so far. A little bit low into the upstream gate 20, but she certainly got the pace, and still looks like she's got plenty of gas left in the tank to get through these last few gates. That's a nice line on 23, able to really get on the power through 24 and 25. It's going to be outside the race lead time, but it's a respectable time, and into 6th place, 1:10.97. And it is still Monica Doria Villarubla of Andorra leading at this stage, ahead of Luca Jones of New Zealand and Clara Olazabal of Spain. That's our top 3. Avi Liebfarth of the United States of America still in 4th place, and well, it won't be long before we're starting to be able to confirm which athletes have qualified through into the World Championship final. Next to start, it is Victoria Urs of the Ukraine. She's had a successful season in the kayak event. She took a medal in the kayak event in Tartan in Slovenia. She's a 3-time European Championship finalist in this event, and arguably it looks like ultimately they've already qualified. The Ukraine have already qualified a place in the kayak, so if Victoria qualifies it today, which she's very capable of doing, then the way the rules are, that one of those places has to be handed back, and that gives an opportunity to another nation. So she's a little bit down though, 3.96 on the first split. Well, she was very high on that move on the exit from 10, wasn't she?
Yeah, and then she touched the gate 11, and she lost anyway so much time there because she didn't go straight to the gate, but she was struggling a little bit there.
Well, we get an opportunity to see how she compares to the race leader, Monica Doria Villarubla of Andorra. And, well, it's 9 seconds adrift. So it's unlikely to give a place in the World Championship final, unfortunately, for the Ukraine. Victoria Urs. But actually, down the bottom part of the course, she looks like she's really found the lines and running the boat. She may well make up some of that deficit, but I think there's too much to make up from the top part of the course. It's pretty good lines on the final half of the course. Victoria Urs into 12th place. No place in the final today, unfortunately. So we've now had 18 boats down in this 30-boat women's C1 semi-final. 12 boats to go, and we'll start to be able to see who is going to make it into the final. But of course, Monica Doria Villarubla of Andorra sitting in pole position at the moment at the top of the leaderboard, 104.59. Now, here is someone who could make a World Championship final for sure. Jasmin Schomburg of Germany seems to get better and better as she does every competition. She's the world champion here on this course 10 years ago in the women's kayak event. She didn't make the final yesterday. I think she was 13th in the women's kayak semi-final. But she's really growing in confidence, growing in performance in this women's C1 event. She's certainly attacking the course and really works well with the white water, but 2.29 seconds down. It can quickly start to slip away on this course. Beautiful line on 10.
Yeah, she looks really calm, but now she hit the wall.
Now, critical move, 13 to 14. Need to put the weight forward, time the stroke, and she does that very nicely indeed. But still looking like Monica Doria Villarubla is going to comfortably defend her lead at the moment. 4.13. Well, that's still good enough for a top 4 finish if Jasmin Schomburg of Germany can hold it together on the bottom part of the course. That's super tight on 20. Brilliant switching. Seamlessly switches the blade from one hand to the other. And Jasmin Schomburg of Germany now. Oh, too tight from 23 to 24. That's 2 seconds of penalties added, and suddenly just end up slipping away and down into 9th. She was in touch with a place in the top 5 when she was in gate 16, but the bottom section just got away from her a little bit. Jasmin Schomburg of Germany into 9th place. So Sonna, this week we've had perfect weather really here in La Seu for this competition, but the temperature, it's very hard to know what the temperature is. In the shade it's cold, in the sun it's hot. How have you dealt with that as an athlete?
Well, like when you have run really in the morning, like now the girls have, it's quite hard because it's cold, but not many athletes like to start in a long sleeve, and otherwise their hands and fingers will be frozen because the water is really, really cold here. So then they might have a problem with switching pedal and holding pedal.
Yeah, so important to make sure that your circulation is properly functioning. And on course, Naomi Fox of Australia on course, the younger sister of Jessica Fox. She goes in this semi-final as well. She was the fastest in the heats, so she will go off last in this semi-final. And Naomi Fox, well, in touch, 2.32 down, but really good, solid through 10 and 11. She's an under-23 World Championship bronze medalist last year, and she has made 7 World Cup finals in her career. And I wonder if she's made up a little bit of time. She has. The deficit was, but she just missed 17. Naomi Fox was really starting to close in on race leader Monica Doria Villarubla of Andorra, but suddenly it's all gone wrong, and so easy to do that, isn't it, 17, because the athletes have been just ducking in. And did she just...
I think that she passed the gate from the right side.
I thought that, did she just miss gate 19?
Yeah.
She did, and unfortunately Naomi Fox, that mistake on 17 has just affected her concentration, and well, the time loss anyway was probably going to be too much to make it through into World Championship final. But Australia's Naomi Fox has to paddle it out now in this semi-final, and will finish at the bottom of the rankings. And well, huge disappointment there for an athlete who you would expect to be absolutely in the mix for a place in the final. So Monica Doria Villarubla leads for Andorra with 10 boats to go. Well, and we know what that means. It means that we will start to confirm who is going to make it into the World Championship final. Here at the World Championships, it's the 2019 ICF Canoe Slalom World Championships. We're live from Spain in the foothills of the Spanish Pyrenees. And well, it's Spain against Andorra for that first place in the final, because on course now it is the, well, very fast paddler of Nuria Villarubla, who was the European champion in 2016. Very accomplished paddler, and we'd expect to be quick on this course.
Yeah, Clara Olazabal, the other girl from Spain, she's third. So probably she knew that she needs to have a good run, because this is, I think, last race for the Spanish to choose who will go to the Olympics. And it's fight between Villarubla and Olazabal.
Yep, and well, you'd say that Villarubla was the favourite, but it's all about delivery. Olazabal already has delivered her run, and wow, that's a good... looked a bit of a high-risk line, but maybe that's what you get when the locals are so familiar with the move, they can take those risks, and surely that's going to show on the split. She was 0.2 down on the first split, but surely she's going to be up on this next split. She is 1.33 up. Villarubla is on the charge.
That's still hard part to go.
Yeah, it's a good point, isn't it? It's you could be the best in the world all the way down, but you've got to do all 25 gates. This, the crucial move, and wow, precision there. She knows the lines, and well, having to drag it round on the bottom, but surely we're looking at our new race leader. Nuria Villarubla of Spain goes into first place by just 0.21 and into the World Championship final. Well, you can see the relief, and that definitely means Spain have a boat quota place for the 2020 Tokyo Olympic Games. And well, strong support. You can hear the crowd going wild in the background, and well, she's very pleased with that.
Yeah, she's definitely one of the best paddler to look, her style and how how she's done with everything. Definitely one of my favorite.
So it is Spain's Nuria Villarubla who is our first qualifier for the World Championship final. As we look at Victoria Wolfhardt of Austria, 25 years of age, European champion in 2018, and she's had some strong performances this season. Silver medal in World Cup 3, and she was 4th in World Cup 2. And the World Cup this season, a lot of athletes have chosen not to do every race, as they've been really focusing on this preparation for the World Championships. I mean, for you and the Slovak team, how many weeks probably have you spent on this venue this year?
So we went here in March, because I had to come back from Australia maybe one month earlier because of my last year of high school, and I need to do some tests. So, and then we chose Laseo because here will be Worlds.
And then you've done a bit in the summer as well.
Me not, but I knew that some Slovaks came here, but I didn't.
Yeah, so people would have spent, you know, somewhere around probably 4 weeks in the preparation over the course of the year, making sure they're familiar with the site. And Victoria Wolfhardt, well, she is on track for being in contention for place in the final, but 2.73 down. It's clean so far, and now this is where it's make or break time. The bottom part of the course, all that hard work needs to be finished off. She really has to work hard there, but good recovery there from probably being a bit too tight into the upstream.
Yeah, but she lost so much time because she wanted to cut the way, but not every time did work.
So that could be a surprise. Only 7th place, and still 8 boats to go. So not secure for a place in the final for Austria's Victoria Wolfhardt. But Monica Doria Villarubla for Andorra, the leader for so long, is into the World Championship final. Well done, Monica. And surely that gives Andorra an Olympic boat quota place as well for Tokyo 2020. So next, Luca Jones for New Zealand is sitting in 3rd place, waiting to see if she's done enough for a place in the final. And it's effectively the Czech Republic against New Zealand for the next spot, because on course it's Teresa Fizarova of the Czech Republic. Very accomplished paddler in this category. She was a bronze medalist at the World Championships. And she's had a solid season this season as well. 3rd overall in the World Cup standings, 3 finals. And that includes a bronze medal at the last World Cup in Prague in the Czech Republic.
She is really strong, and she's working with boys. So in her training group are other two boys in C1, so this helps her so much, and we can see how powerful she is.
Well, really good through 10-11, working really hard, clean, and she was in touch at the early split, 0.45 seconds down, but the job really is to qualify through into this World Championship final, not take too many risks on this run, do enough, secure your place, and then go from 0 in the final. And she has turned that into an advantage, 1.1 up on the split time. We said we think that around about 100 seconds is going to be the fastest run time of the semi-final. And Teresa is someone who could easily be getting into that kind of time. Taking a pretty safe line on 23, but doesn't cost too much on the clock.
But this line is much faster, like when people stop before the gate and then they are trying to come.
Yeah, so into 4th place for Teresa Fizarova, so it's not automatic qualification for the semi-final, but sorry, for the final, but surely that will be enough for Teresa, and certainly it puts her in a great position for the boat quota place for the Czech Republic. But it is Luca Jones of New Zealand who is confirmed as our next qualifier. So 3 boats confirmed: Villarubla, then Doria Villarubla, then Jones, and Teresa Fisarova, the Czech Republic, sitting, waiting to see if she's done enough as we get into the last 7 boats in this World Championship semi-final. So starting off now, it's Alsu Minazova of the Russian Federation. So all hopes of the Olympic boat quota place in this round rest on Alsu, because unfortunately I saw a big mistake from Paulina Mugalieva, and that's put her right down at the bottom of the standings in this semi-final. But a penalty early on for Alsu already on this course.
She nearly missed that gate, so she just went too straight and she didn't turn enough. That's why she touched it.
So this course about 300 meters long, drops 4 meters from the top to the bottom, and it runs on around about 10 meters cubed, 10 cubic meters of water per second come down the course, which is relatively low volume for some of the courses that we paddle on. And a penalty there on 11. And is that another one on 12? It is. So suddenly Alsu Minazova of the Russian Federation is really chasing this semi-final run, and it's more about chasing a boat quota place for the Olympic Games now, because she won't make it through into the final. She's got to recompose herself on the bottom part of the course, which she's doing quite well. That's a good sequence, 16 through into the upstream gate 20.
Yeah, that was what I said, that even she had quite big problems up there, she's still going straight to the finish line, because she knew that she can still make an Olympic quota.
Well, and she's really done well. She's recomposed herself after that disastrous middle section, and she's kept herself in the mix. 18th place for Alsu Minazova of the Russian Federation. But that does mean that Teresa Fisarova of the Czech Republic goes into the World Championship final. She joins Luka Jones, Monica Doria Villarubla and Nuria Villarubla in that final. Well, there we see the mistake at the top of the course. You're right, that she did well just to get back into the gate. Damage limitation at that stage. Well, here we see the two-time junior world champion Andrea Herzog of Germany going for a place in the World Championship final and looking to secure a place for Germany in the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games. Germany surprised yesterday that they, in the men's C1 event, they didn't qualify a boat quota place for the Tokyo Games, despite the fact they have the world number 1 Sidiris Tassiadis and the world champion Franz Anton from last year in their team. So that was a big surprise today, but well, Andrea really setting off how she means to carry on. She has the advantage on the top.
She looks like that she doesn't care, but her boat goes so fast, and it works with her.
You're right, she just looks very composed and very calm, and wow, that's good on 13 to 14. Really gets good acceleration from the boat, and this is going to challenge Nuria Villarubla, our current race leader for Spain, as she comes through gate 17. She's 1.5 seconds up on the split. She's maintained the advantage as she comes into the upstream 20. Well, that's a good line as well. On 20, uses the punt off the wall. Now into 23. It's a good line. And oh, she has taken a penalty on 23 and 24. So suddenly, Andrea Herzog has made life harder for herself. It's still a good run. Look at that.
Amazing.
Amazing run. 101.19 the raw time. 2 touches at the bottom part of the course, but she's into the final. Well done, Andrea. And that just shows the kind of pace that is out there. Yeah, we see it. Slightest of touches on 23, and then just cut the line a little bit on 24. So easy to do that, isn't it?
Yeah, 23 she touched with the boat when she come to the gate.
So our qualifiers so far, with 5 boats still to come in this World Championship semi-final, is Nuria Villarubla, our current race leader for Spain, Monica Doria Villarubla for Andorra, Andrea Herzog of Germany, Luca Jones of New Zealand, and Teresa Fisarova of the Czech Republic. 5 to go, and on course now it is Nadine Verachnik of Austria. 4th last year at the World Championships in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. So no stranger of going through this process, qualifying to a World Championship final. Victoria Wolfart sitting in 9th place for Austria at the moment.
I think that she's the only girl in this semi-final which doesn't switch her pedal from one side to the other.
Yeah, and I really felt for Nadine in the Markleberg World Cup in the final. She looked like she was about to take a gold medal, and just literally on the finish sprint ended up on a boil and eddied out, and it ended up her off the podium. Looks like no risk of that today, because she really looks like she's in tune with the white water here. She was 0.24 seconds up on the early split, and she's looking like she's really in charge here. She's extended that advantage now, 0.72. So Verachnik of Austria now very much in control. Oh, a 2-second penalty though, picked up on 20, and another one on 22, and it's a bit like Andrea Herzog of Germany. Suddenly it's a little bit more in the danger zone. So Nadine Verachnik of Austria coming for a place in the final, into 6th place and just in. So made it a little bit harder for herself with those 4 seconds of penalties, but that's a strong performance, and also that will qualify Austria a place at the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games. Still Nuria Villarubla leading for Spain, time of 1:04.38, and below the fastest time, Andrea Herzog of Germany, 1:01. Well, here is an athlete who could be very quick, capable of going under 100 seconds. It's Ana Chatila of Brazil. At a disappointing World Championship final yesterday in the women's kayak event, she was strong. She got through into the final, but picked up a penalty in that final, and already a penalty on gate 1.
But she's still really fast, and her style is so fast, so even this touch she can still make it.
She's the under-23 world champion of this season, and as you say, Sonia, she's just always really exciting to watch. I love watching her paddle. She takes huge risks, but when she gets it right, she's super quick. So really fluid through there, and well, she is quick because she's 0.33 down, and that includes a 2-second penalty. Very nice on 10 to 11. Just maybe a second low on 14, doesn't quite get the ideal kick off the hole. But Ana Chatila very much doing what is required to make it through into the World Championship final and to qualify boat quota place for Brazil. 1.34 down. So it's still a very quick time. You can hear the Brazilian fans supporting her down the course, and now into the critical upstream 23 on Niagara. Great line through 24, 25, no mistake here. This is where it all went wrong for her yesterday in the kayak event. No problems there, and into the final for Ana Chatila of Brazil. 2 finals in 2 days and an Olympic boat quota place for Brazil. How good is that?
Well, I can't imagine how happy she must be.
So, so easy as well, hitting gate 1. It would be so easy to be distracted and let that mistake affect your focus down the course, but Anna Satila kept her composure, and she did get another penalty. But, well, yeah, she has been given another penalty, but it still gives her a qualification spot. So +4 for Anna, but it does still give her a qualification spot. Nuria Villarubla for Spain, leading the way. As on course now, the first of, or the second British boat down the course. It is Kimberly Woods of Great Britain coming through the top of the course. Made the World Championship final yesterday in the women's kayak event. Finished in that event in 6th place.
Yeah, that means for her that she is going to Tokyo in K1 for sure.
I believe that's the case, and yeah, I guess that that'll get confirmed over the course of the next few days. And Kimberly Woods now very much focused on the move here, 7, 8, 9. Well, she's 1 second down on the split at the moment. She won bronze at the European Championships earlier on this season. She is a 2-time European champion in this event, and 2-second penalty on gate 10. Can't afford any more mistakes as she comes down into 13 to 14. Buries the bows, but keeps her cool.
But still the home peddler, Clara Olazabal, she's still waiting, and she's waiting really long.
Well, and it's super tight, isn't it? Look, 2.88 is all that separates the top 7 at the moment. So at the moment, Kimberly Woods is looking at risk. She's going to have to do something special on the bottom section of the course. And, well, that was pretty good. So now 4 gates to go for Kimberly Woods of Great Britain as she comes into the upstream gate 23. No problems there. She just needs to not rush this bottom move. And surely she's found a bit of time. She needs to be inside 108.56 to take a place in the final, and she's outside of that and into 10th place for Kimberly Woods of Great Britain. And well, that could be a shock. Kimberly Woods is well, her misfortune is Clara Olazabal of Spain's benefit, because Spain now have a second boat in the final. Well done, Clara. You are in the World Championship final. And Kimberly Woods didn't do a lot wrong. Such is the tightness of racing, really. That penalty proving very costly indeed. So now we are 2 boats away from determining our final paddlers. And it's Avi Liebfarth and Kimberly Woods sitting in 9th and 10th place at the finish line. And Mallory Franklin, Jess Fox still to come. So Mallory Franklin of Great Britain on course, world champion of 2017 and European champion of 2019. Had a disappointing day in the women's kayak event yesterday. I'm sure she'll have put that behind her though and refocused today on getting into this World Championship final in the women's C1 event. So you paddle both classes. How difficult is it if you have a bad day in one of them? How difficult is it to refocus into the other event?
Well, for me, I think it helps me one category in the other, but it means that even if I have a bad run in K1, which is always going first, then I knew that I can still make a good run in C1.
Wow, well, problems here for Mallory Franklin of Great Britain. She's had a roll 13 to 14. It's, well, great recovery. It will cost her on the clock, and Mallory Franklin of Great Britain needs to do something special. How much time has she lost there? 4.9 seconds. So it is literally, she's got to find at least another half a second on the bottom part of the course if she is going to make it through into the final. Well, that won't be in her plan, and a little bit late setting up for 23. She's low in 23. This is going to be tight. It is between Avi Liebfarth of the United States of America, 108.79, and Mallory Franklin. And, well, she's surely going to get inside that, actually. She's found some time. No, she hasn't. 10th place for Mallory Franklin of Great Britain. And, well, Avi Liebfarth of the United States of America is into the final, and Great Britain's Mallory Franklin. Here we see that mistake, the bow berries And, well, it's so easily done, isn't it? Great recovery from Mallory, then she got stuck on the wall.
Yeah, but then it's really hard to push your boat out of the wall because the water push you straight to the wall, so...
Well, Great Britain will qualify a boat quota place because they are inside the top 11 nations. But, well, it's Jessica Fox against Mallory Franklin. A big rivalry that's gone on for a long time for that final place in the World Championship final. Jessica Fox of Australia, she's been world number 1 in this event since 2013, uninterrupted. What a record that is. 4-time world champion. And she's reigning world champion from 2018. She hasn't had such a consistent season as we've got to expect from her, but still outstanding form, and 0.45 up on the top part of the course. Australia at the moment sitting in 15th place in terms of the Olympic qualification process, so probably in the mix already for a boat quota place, but Jessica will be coming down looking to make sure she gets into that top 10, into the final. And Jessica Fox is very much now coming down through 15. She's in charge. She may not hold on to that advantage. She's lost a bit, 0.53, but she's doing very much enough to get into the World Championship final. Nicely through 20. So Nuria Villarubla of Spain still leading, 104.38. The time that Jessica Fox has to beat for Australia to get into this final is 108.97 seconds. She's going to be well inside that. She's clean through the last gates, and it's comfortably into the final for Jessica Fox. Well done, you're into second place, and looked like she was cruising at the bottom there. There's still some more in the tank.
Big surprise that none of the British girls are in final.
Well, that is a big surprise. Mallory Franklin and Kimberly Woods, 11th and 12th. And, well, that is significant because, well, they do secure an Olympic boat quota place. But, yeah, no British boats in the final, and you'd have expected
and also not
both.
a French boat.
Yeah, Lucie Priault of France, the highest finisher, in 17th place. So, 2 boats for Spain. And it looks like, well, I'm just trying to work out the Olympic boat quota places, but I don't want to give you false information, so we'll focus on the top 3. Nuria Villarubla of Spain is our race winner of the semi-final. She will go off last in the final. That's at 12 o'clock Central European time. You can follow that live here on Planet Canoe. Jessica Fox of Australia is second. Monica Doria Villarubla of Andorra in third. And then other finalists: Andrea Herzog of Germany, Luca Jones of New Zealand, Teresa Fisarova of the Czech Republic, Nadine Vrachnik of Austria. Then it's Anna Cetila of Brazil, Clara Olazabal of Spain, and Avi Liebfarth, the 16-year-old from the United States, gets into 10th place. She'll lead off in the final of the World Championships here in the Women's C1 event. But your reflections there on that Women's C1 semi-final side?
Big surprise, as I said, with the British girl and French girl. Well, French it's really close. This place close to France, so, and they had their selections here, so they knew this course really well. But also many good paddlers, which deserve it to be in final. They are there.
Well, that's a really good point, isn't it? Around the French would expect to be in the final, and I think in terms of, well, we've got 9 nations will be represented in the Women's C1 final, so that then means that the 10th nation goes to Great Britain, the 11th goes to Italy, so it looks like France have missed out on a boat quota place for the Olympic Games, but that is very provisional at this stage.
Yeah. And there are still girls which already took a place in K1.
Yes, that does add an extra complication. That's a good point, because if you qualify the boat quota place in more than one category, then your country will have to choose which boat quota place is returned. So, well, it's drama here in the World Championship semi-finals of the Women's C1 because the World Champion of 2017, Mallory Franklin, the form boat of the season, the winner of the World Cup opener, is out of the final. And Kimberly Woods, medalist at the last World Cup, the World Cup final in Prague, is also out. So that is the classification for the Women's C1. Semi-final, Nuria Villarubla qualifies through in first. She'll go off last in the final. Jessica Fox of Australia, the reigning world champion, comfortably through into the final. And then Avi Liedfarth for the United States gets in. And here, the non-qualifiers, Mallory Franklin just outside, as is Kimberly Woods. Victoria Wolfhard, another name you would expect to be in the final. And Naomi Fox of Australia, that on such a good run in the middle section, but then it all went away. So that Women's C1 semi-final will be, sorry, the Women's C1 final will start at 12 o'clock Central European time. So follow that on Planet Canoe. And now our focus is on the men's K1 final. So here we have 40 boats, and I have to say, thank you very much, Sonna, for joining me in the commentary box for the Women's C1 semi-final. We're going to see you again for the Women's C1 final. We look forward to your input then. And now Casey Eifeld is going to join me in the commentary box for the men's kayak semi-final.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Thanks for joining me, Sonna, and we'll look forward to hearing you a little bit later on. So here is the start list. 40 boats. Well, we started with 116 boats in the men's K1 heats earlier on in the week, and then we went down to 40 boats through that elimination process of the heats. So we've got the top 40 boats in the competition now, racing in reverse order from the heats, but only 10 places in the final here, the World Championship final. And one thing we know about racing in Laseo de Gel in Spain is that tight racing is what you can expect. To that Women's C1 semi-final, there were just 4.41 seconds separating first to 10th place. So myself, Andy Muddock, will bring you up to date with all the action as it unfolds, and welcome back to the commentary box Casey Eifeld of the United States of America, three-time Olympian, and well, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me back.
So we are underway with racing in this men's K1 semi-final. Michael Taylor of Canada is on course, and well, the 27-year-old was a London and Rio Olympian, and well, when he gets his lines right, he can be very fast, but not super consistent.
Yeah, it's a pretty difficult thing to find that balance between the speed and the technicality, especially on a course like this. You know, we talked about it yesterday. The whitewater here isn't the biggest that we race on, but it's so technical. It's a very narrow course. There are a lot of features, and it makes it difficult to keep that momentum moving and keep yourself off the gates. But it looks like Michael's having a pretty good run thus far, and he's just going to be looking to hold it together through the bottom.
Yeah, fast and clean is the name of the game, and certainly in this men's K1 category, we wouldn't expect anyone to really progress through with a 2-second penalty unless they are super quick.
We're talking about unbelievably fast times if you're going to make it into the finals with a touch.
Because, I mean, let's speculate, shall we, Casey? The men's C1 got down to 89 point something. That was Luka Bozic. So I'd be thinking we'd be like 85, 84?
I don't think that that's out of the realm of possibility. I was actually really excited to think about this and to have this great view that we get down here in the commentating box. But I think that already we have an 89. So I think that we might even be able to see an 83.
Well, stay with us because I think we're going to see some exciting racing here. It's only the World Championship semi-final, but actually the racing is going to be super tight. Michael Taylor of Canada, yeah, sets it alight, 89.02. He has now just been given a 2-second penalty on the upstream gate 20, which has blemished his record there and moved him to 91.02. So next up for the People's Republic of China, Xin Quan, who was 27th at the last major senior race of this season in Prague in the Czech Republic. That was the World Cup final 3 weeks ago. And, well, a gold medalist at the 2018 Asian Games. And if we compare this, so we've been watching the women's canoe, they're kneeling in the boat with a single blade. Now we're moving to the kayak, and they're sitting in the boat and a double-bladed paddle. And the agility here in the men's kayak is getting increasingly high, isn't it?
Yeah, as the sport has evolved, the kayaks have been getting just unbelievably fast. Having a blade on both sides of the boat makes them incredibly nimble and capable of performing just technical feats that some of the other classes aren't really capable of, and that's why we're going to see kayak times that just get, I think, considerably faster than what we've seen thus far.
Well, let's watch the Xin Quan paddler from the People's Republic of China coming down the course. He was up on the early split, but that's slipped away to a little bit of a deficit now compared to Michael Taylor of Canada. But do you think anyone's going to take this gate, the upstream gate 23, and do the really high risk move on that move?
I definitely think that's going to happen, and you know, it, like you said, it's a high risk move. So we're gonna see some people go for it, and we're gonna see some tragedies, and then I think that we're also gonna see some people really pull it together, gain a little bit of time, just like we saw Eva Terschel do yesterday.
Yeah, that was and that was what I was thinking, because that won her the race. I was speaking to Jessica Fox after the women's kayak final yesterday, and you know, she said to me, she said, "Oh, I lost the race on the bottom," and I said, "I think if you look at the video, you'll see that Eva won the race on the bottom."
Yeah, it's all about perspective.
So, you know, because Jess did nothing wrong, but Ava was just, she took that risk and it worked for her. So Xin Quan of the People's Republic of China has been given a 50-second penalty on gate 24. That was a mistake at the bottom part of the course, but proved very costly. And it's still Michael Taylor leading. So 40 boats racing, still 38 to go. And for Switzerland, Martin Duguid is on course. So it's interesting again in the Olympic qualification scenarios. We have, I wrote it down here, 21 nations qualified in this men's kayak semi-final and 18 nation places up for grabs. So slightly less cutthroat than it was in the women's C1 semi-final.
Yeah, and I was actually really interested in the fact that there were more nations in the women's C1 than there were in the men's C1 competing for those Olympic quota spots.
Yeah, that just shows how the category has grown over the 10 years that it's been on the international stage. But there's a penalty for the Swiss paddler. Hasn't appeared yet, but I'm sure it will. Martin Duguid on course now, 21-22. And this is the line we were talking about. That's pretty high risk, isn't it?
That was pretty high risk, and he did it very well. He kept the boat moving, got good momentum, and really got the bounce on the way out of the upstream.
Well, into first place, 87.12. I am surprised. Wasn't I imagining? Oh, it has now come on. The penalty on gate 17. So that moves him to 89.12. And, well, he'll be ruining that. That was just the slightest of touches on the edge of his helmet. So Martin Duguid, though, of Switzerland, is into the race lead. And, well, 87. Now we've got the raw time, 87. And we've got some outstanding paddlers to go, and we know it's going to be super tight. There's no place for a safe run in this semi-final, is there? Absolutely not, especially within the men's kayaks. A lot of times we're seeing times that are tenths and hundreds of seconds just separating them. It's not uncommon to see finals comprising of athletes all within 2 seconds of each other. So there is just no room to leave anything out here on the course. So on course now, Felix Oschmalz of Austria, who was fourth this year in the Under-23 World Championships, and he was the Junior World Champion in 2017 and a silver medalist in the Junior World Championships the previous year. So very much accomplished on that front. He is up on the split, 0.45 up on race leader Martin Duguid of Switzerland. But as his bow just popped up under the upstream gate 14, we'll have to wait and see on that front. But Felix Oschmalz, he's made his mark. I remember watching him a couple of years ago in a World Cup. I think it was in Ivrea, and he was outstanding. really, really fast. And, well, he's showing that. 2.17 up on the split. Now into the upstream, gate 23. Well, they're all taking that tight line. No one's leaving it out there on the river. And actually, so far, people pretty consistent. So this is surely going to be the fastest time. 85 for Felix Oschmalz of Austria. And, well, he knows it.
Yes, very happy with that run. It's always awesome to see the emotion that the athletes have at the bottom of the course. You know, it's hard to see them disappointed with their run, but that's part of athletics and sport, and it's always really great to see them just totally ecstatic with their run and happy to have put it all out there.
Yeah, and I think, you know, at the end of the day, as an athlete, you can only do your best. And if you cross the finish line thinking, yes, I've just delivered my best, if it doesn't quite stack up to make the final, you still shouldn't be disappointed.
Absolutely.
Well, here's a name to watch. Vavra Hradilek of the Czech Republic, world champion in 2013, Olympic silver medalist in 2012. And, well, he had to go again in the second runs of the heats. That's why he's a little bit out of order. But we could expect him to set a quick time and take some risks on this course.
Vavra is an incredibly powerful and brave paddler. We saw that just now as he took the direct line on 3 and 4 very nicely, very quickly, and it's paid off. He's got a bit of an advantage at the moment.
It's 0.22, but it's a good start to his run. Now, this next section has the opportunity to find a bit more time, which he does.
Nice tight exit out of the upstream 14. It's really good to be able to get out of there a little bit tighter so you're not getting hung up on the backwash of that hole underneath of that bridge. Oh, but he does seem to have lost some time, almost a second in total. Wow. Or a little over, I guess.
So he's going to have to work hard. And there is a bit of a balance, isn't there, from ducking and diving. You've got to make sure that if you're ducking and diving, you're still able to pull hard on the blade. As soon as you are ducking and diving too much and not able to pull hard on the blade, that's when the time slips away.
Absolutely. It's all about keeping that boat moving.
So Vavra Hradilek of the Czech Republic now sprinting for a place in the final, and it's well, the time slipped away at the bottom. Just third place at this stage in the competition, 89.54, and well, he's going to have to see whether that's enough. And well, it'd be a pity. He's such a character on the circuit that it's always a pity if he doesn't make it.
I agree. He's got a great personality. He's always friendly. You know, I think a lot of that time slipped away for him in that last upright. You know, he's a very powerful paddler, so he was able to get out of it without the penalty, but I think that he just got hung up too much there.
So it is still Felix Oschmalz of Austria in first place with a time of 85.85. There is an asterisk by his name, so his result is still provisional as we watch Ben Hayward of Canada, who goes for his place in this World Championship semi-final. Can he make it through into the top 10?
Ben is also another very powerful and brave paddler out there. He definitely takes the lines that he thinks is going to get him there as fast as possible. He's just a little bit down on the split, but he's been pulling it together pretty well so far. Just going to be looking to keep that boat moving well, keeping it on top of the water, keeping it smooth, staying off of those gate poles. Definitely pushing his lines there.
Well, he looks like he's really found the groove here, because I think Ben can paddle a little bit hot and cold sometimes, but when he's quick, he is very quick. He's certainly made finals before, and Ben is looking like he's going to be in touch at the split. 0.93, so has dropped a little bit, but now it's all going to be down to this move on the bottom drop.
Very nice up left here, yeah. We'll just have to see what kind of momentum he's carrying through. Coming in a little bit high.
Wow.
Really necks it, and you can see there's a little bit of struggle there. And now, but there's that power for you right there. Good example. He was able to pull it through there. Just a little bit behind the lead, though, unfortunately.
87.39. Wow, he had to dig deep, didn't he, to get round 24 and stay off the pole.
Absolutely. And at that point in a race run, when you are so gassed, and, you know, we saw it a lot yesterday, people are out of energy at that point, and they're getting super unstable, and they kept tripping and almost flipping over. And it's just, you know, there's a lot of energy going into the entirety of the course.
Well, this race is going to be decided around the sort of tenths and hundredths of a second, and that's an example of it. Ben Hayward does nothing wrong on that run. Outstanding run, but he's going to have to wait and see if it's enough. So Next up for Poland, it is Michał Pasiut, who was ninth last year at the World Championship, so he made the final last year. Can he repeat that this year in 2019? He's certainly capable of doing that. He's had some strong performances over the course of the World Cup season. 5 races over the course of the season. They were in Lee Valley in Great Britain, then Bratislava, Slovakia, Tarzen, Slovenia. Yeah, we had a bit of a summer break before we came back to Magdeburg in Germany and Prague in the Czech Republic. Oh, he's ducking and diving. He's looking good so far. Oh, but a touch on gate 11. Ouch.
Yeah, there's just no room for touches, I think. You know, it seems that we've actually already seen, at least for the time being, kind of the fastest top split that we're going to see. People are not really increasing the time. He did have a small advantage. Oh, unfortunately, just a little too much ducking there. Yep, and there it is, 50-second penalty.
Ouch, he definitely asked the judge there to give him the verdict, and unfortunately for Michał Pasiut of Poland, it's a 50-second penalty, and well, there's no way back from that. So I also note that Felix Oschmalz has been given a 2-second penalty on gate 14, which I think I spotted. I think his bows came up underneath the pole. That's unfortunate for him, but so it is actually Ben Hayward leading for Canada at the moment, and penalties already showing how significant they're going to be. And we're only in the early stages of this 40-boat semi-final with just 10 places in that World Championship final that will follow on. 12 o'clock Central European time, we've got the Women's C1 World Championship final, and then straight on from that will be the men's K1. So join us live on Planet Canoe for that. Myself, Andy Muddock, and alongside me, Casey Eichfeldt, will bring you the action here as we determine who will qualify through into the 10-boat World Championship final. Well, already cutting the lines on the top part of the course, we have Ivan Silva of Portugal, who his best this year is 20th in World Cup 3 in Tarzen in Slovenia, but he has made a World Cup final here in 2017 on this course. So 0.92 down. It's a great view of this course. This course is well, such a legacy for the sport of canoe slalom from the Olympic Games, but also I think genuinely for the city of Seo, of La Seo here, isn't it? It's just such an amenity.
It is a beautiful town, and I think that pretty much every athlete is always happy to be here. It's just so friendly and welcoming, and we have a great time here. Everything's so compact, it's easy to get everywhere. Oh, I was wondering about that. I could see that Ivan had an asterisk by his name by gate 8, and I was a little concerned that might be what they were looking at.
So Ivan Silva of Portugal, unfortunately, hasn't got his whole head inside the gate gate 2 and gate 3. And well, he was definitely cutting the lines at the top, and unfortunately he's paid the price. And 8th place for Portugal.
He doesn't look terribly surprised, so I think maybe a little part of him knew and maybe hoped it wouldn't be so, but...
And I think, you know, he's not going to be the only one. There's going to be some high-risk paddling going on. Here we see it. Wow. Cutting the lines on the top 2 gates. And on this occasion, the wrong side of the margins there. So Ben Hayward still leads for Canada ahead of Felix Oschmalz of Austria and Martin Duguid of Switzerland. We're 8 boats down, 32 boats still to go in this World Championship semi-final. And on course now it is Martin Srabotnik of Slovenia, 6th at the Under-23 Worlds this year, and has made a final at the World Cup in Tarzen in Slovenia on his home water. And well, the Slovenian kayak's very fast indeed. It's all about can they deliver when it matters. Well, he's up half a second nearly on the top part of the course, but now this is where coming into the business end, and gets super tight on 10 and almost loses focus on where the top of his blade is.
Yeah, just a little bit unaware of where that top blade is, and it's really easy in all of the things that are going on when you're out on the course to keep track of every little piece of your body, your equipment. It's a difficult thing to manage, and we're going to see that as people are cutting the lines. Still still holding a good running time, or raw running time.
Yeah, he's super attacking on the course, but it looks like another one on the chest there on gate 20. You can see the pole swinging in the background, and Martin Srabotnik has given it his all, and I think that's what, you know, when you cross the finish line, you've just got to know you've left it all on the river, and you can't have that regret of, "Well, maybe I should have pushed a bit harder."
I would agree with that completely.
So into 5th place for Martin Srabotnik of Slovenia, +4. So his raw time 86.40 would have been quick enough for the race lead, but so far we know that the fastest raw time we've seen is 85.85 seconds. That's Felix Oshmaus, but that had a penalty on it. So yeah, our prediction of 84, 85, well, it'd be exciting. If anyone goes below 84, it will be exciting.
It will truly be exciting. I think that will be the epitome of finding all the really good lines and just really utilizing that water as best as possible.
So next up, another boat for Slovenia. 3 boats for the Slovenian team in this 40-boat semi-final, and it's Nico Teston on course. He was a finalist at the first World Cup of the season in Lee Valley in Great Britain. He was 9th there, and certainly got the pace, hasn't he, to make it through into the final.
Just a little bit behind on that first split, and I think that a part of that might be his gate 3 to 4. Took a spin where it looked to me like he was intending to go for the direct, but then felt that he wasn't in the right position. So it was probably a better decision than to try and risk the direct, but he did have to accept that there was probably going to be a little time loss when the other kayaks are pulling off that direct and just keeping that boat moving really well.
I have to say, he looks super composed. He almost looks like he's not trying, but some paddlers can be deceptive like that, and he's one of them. And look at that, he's cut that deficit now, 0.23. Is he timing this run to perfection?
Very
Wow.
quick here, very nice.
Good work on 20. Nico Teston now going to take the high-risk move on 23. It works for him.
Oh, it's just a little shoulder touch.
Oh, that's just disappointing for him. He didn't get the squirt out of the eddy that he would have hoped for, taking that touch on the back of the buoyancy aid, and that drops him down to 5th place. And well, such are the margins in this sport, and particularly on this course here in Laseo. Here we see it, actually a pretty good line, but you'd expect to get a bit more squirt to keep your body clear of the pole, and it doesn't happen. He flattens his edge, and well, the rest is history, really. So it's still Ben Hayward leading for Canada, and of course that's really good news from an Olympic boat quota place as well, because 18 nation places are up for grabs, but we have 21 nations vying for that in this men's kayak semi-final. And on course now, Martin Halchin is, it's Isaac Årström, apologies there for Sweden. Now already a penalty on the upstream gate 5, and well, he's obviously quick. He's 2.34 down, so some of that obviously incorporates that penalty. And again, another paddler who is very, very quick when he gets his lines right. And well, lots of white water in Sweden, but not a very long canoe slalom season.
Yeah, absolutely. Opting there for the very direct line into that up left seemed to pay off pretty well for him, but I think that he's still going to be a bit down on that second split.
2.83, so it's sort of stabilised, but Ben Hayward of Canada still looking comfortable to hold on to his lead.
Very direct through that offset there.
Now let's watch. This is where so many runs have just either, well, mainly lost time. It's one of those moves, isn't it? It's a high-risk move, and you get it wrong, and you lose a lot of time and destroy all the hard work that you've done further up the course. 7th place for Isaac Årström of Sweden, and still Ben Hayward leading for Canada, and actually only 2 clean runs so far out of the first 11 paddlers.
You know, it like we talked about, everybody's going to be really pushing these lines, cutting them as much as they possibly can, and it just makes for a lot of risk to be necking that many gates all the way down the course.
So, with Ben Hayward leading for Canada, 87.39 his time. It is Manuel Munch of Switzerland who is on course now. And an early penalty already on gate 2. You can't really win the race on the top of the course, can you? But you can lose it.
Yes, absolutely. And it was looking to me like he's maybe just a little bit off with his timing, kind of hitting the waves and losing the speed that he would rather be carrying through those wave trains. And it does reflect in his split almost 3.5 seconds back. So he's going to have quite a bit of work to do to put himself back in the running.
So in and out the upstream 10-11. It's solid. But, yeah, he's on his back foot now as he comes into 14.
Getting a little bit hung up on the exit there. That can be a little bit of time. It's at least a few tenths.
And when you look at some of the names still to come, you know, we've got the likes of Jakub Grigar, who's the fastest in the heats. He'll go off last. He was for Slovakia. Then we've got the Olympic champion, Joe Clark. We've got the world champion, Hannes Aigner. We've got Peter Kauser, who is always a formidable force. And then we've got the Czech boats, Vit Prindis, Yuri Preskovic to come. So absolutely, it's whatever goes into the lead around this stage in the competition, you've still got to be looking behind you because there's some big guns to come. Manuel Munch only into 9th place, I'm afraid, because 2-second penalty at the top of the course and just not quite finding the right side of the those lines down this course. 25 gates have been set by Mark Delaney and Marianne Aguilon, the course designers for the World Championships, and I think it's a good course. What would you think?
It is. I think that it really does a good job of utilizing the features of the course. I think that it's pretty easy to make a course that just doesn't flow well with what you have available in terms of features, and it just kind of makes for, personally, a little bit of uglier racing. So it's nice when they really use the features well. They've done a great job with this, and it's a lot of fun to watch these guys really push themselves. Wow, almost 2 seconds up on the split. Where on earth did he find all of that time?
So it's Pavel Eigel of the Russian Federation on course, and well, we know he's quick. He's a former junior European champion. Well, that was probably 10 years ago, and he's a medalist at major competition. And yeah, he was blistering on the top part of the course, but that's one of his hallmarks. He is very, very quick in a straight line. So has he maintained the advantage? He has. He's slightly extended it. 1.93. Pavel Eigel of the Russian Federation is on the charge here.
Oh, just a little bit too much there. Wanted to go for that sweep, was just a little bit too low behind the gate to be able to make it nice and smooth, but necking here in the last upright. Looks like it's pretty good. Just got to keep himself tidy on these last couple of gates, and time to turn on the afterburners.
For the race lead, surely it is Pavel Eigel of the Russian Federation, 85.4 into the race lead, and well, that has surely got to be in contention for a place in the World Championship final. Well, he's going to have to wait a little bit longer because we've still got 27 boats to go, but Pavel Eigel of the Russian Federation, certainly he will have banked Russian Federation a place in the Olympic Games with that result.
I would certainly think so. I think that he should be super proud of that run. He pushed very well all the way down the course and found time where it's difficult to find that time to get away from everybody else in the pack.
So, first of our Spanish paddlers on course now, it is Samuel Hernandez, who was 5th at the London 2012 Olympic Games. And, well, you'd expect him to put in a quick time here. Certainly the crowd warming up here and really supporting him down. He's won 2 European Championship medals at senior level and really straight lining through there. But 2.18, and I suspect that's more reflective of just how quick Pavel Eigel was.
I think a little bit of that, and also it just seemed to me like maybe he wasn't quite on the water the way he wanted to be in the very top. It looked to me like he ended up taking a spin where he wanted to go for the direct, just like we saw with an earlier athlete. Very tidy in there, just a little bit hung up on the exit, but that head duck was very nice, and now you can see he's really accelerating, trying to gain back some of that time that he knows he's probably behind a little bit, and he's done a really good job of it, almost cut that in half.
Yeah, you're right. He's certainly taking some risks here, but he's not close enough on 20 to be able to exploit the poles there. And he almost looks like he's trying too hard now. He's chasing it. So Samuel Hernandez of Spain, it's a good move on 23.
Oh, but the low line. Wow.
It's going to be a good run for Samuel Hernandez of Spain, but it's not going to be enough to take the race lead. 87.30 sneaks in ahead of Ben Hayward of Canada into second place. And that's provisionally a result, just waiting for confirmation of any penalties. But Pavel Igel of the Russian Federation still leading by 1.86 seconds with 25 boats still to go in this men's K1 semi-final. Here we're live from La Seu Urgell in Spain, in the foothills of the Pyrenees. The sun is shining, the perfect weather conditions really for racing, and it's the World Championship semi-final. Top 10 boats will go through into the final. And of course, Olympic boat quotas allocated on these performances as well. So Tim Maxiner of Germany now on course, coming into the upstream gate 5.
Tim is a very aggressive paddler, and you can see that in these first 6 gates that he's done. Really pushing the lines, got a lot of power. You can just see the boat accelerate forward off of each of the strokes. He is almost 2 seconds down on the split, though. But again, this is just a reflection of how quick Pavel Igel's time was on the top. Unfortunately, running into the upstream gate 10.
So that's put him on the back foot further now as he comes down the drop. Now Tim has, he produced excellent performances in their selection series to knock the established paddler Sebastian Schubert out of the team. And really in his career hasn't had that many opportunities to race at the high level because such is the competition just to get into the German senior team.
Yeah, some of these European nations have just such tight racing in their team selections because they have so many athletes that are all so elite. It's really interesting from year to year. Sometimes you won't see the same people the next year because they have 3 or 4 more waiting in the wings, just biding their time, ready to make the team the next year.
And I think that's most notable in the French team, actually. And only 11th place for Tim Maxiner of Germany. Those 2 touches, disappointment for him. He was a finalist in World Cup 4. That was in Germany just a month or so ago. But it's not going to be a final today for Tim, unfortunately. So Pavel Igel still leading for the Russian Federation. 85.44. I'm sure that time will be beaten, but it's a competitive time that is really going to, I think, be enough to make it into the World Championship final. So next up, it's Marcello Beda of Italy coming down the top section of the course. And into the first of the 6 upstream gates, the red and white upstream gates in gate 5. We've seen a lot of penalties on that gate over the course of this competition. And I think a lot of that's related to just the angle of approach and the vulnerability of the bows to come up and take a touch.
I would agree with that. The water behind that ledge as you're approaching that upstream is a little weird, and so sometimes it's pretty easy to just fall off of that line that you want. You might start sliding a little bit too much, and so it's all about just finding that control. Wow, very tidy in and out of that upstream.
It doesn't get any better than that on that move, 13 to 14. That is superb. So he's closed the gap, 0.54 now, and that's, well, he's made 2 seconds up on that section, and that was superb. But
very impressive.
Now,
maybe not quite what he was looking for in that up left there, but now it's just all about this up right here. Oh, unfortunately picking up a 2-second penalty in gate 22.
Yeah, that's going to be really expensive on the clock now. As it comes down, it is Marcello Beda from Italy coming into the finish into 5th place. And you can see how the run ebbs and flows really there. He had a little bit of a, I don't want to call it a steady start because it wasn't, but 2.57 down. Then he had a blistering middle section and closed down that gap to within half a second of race leader Pavel Igel. And then at the bottom, a penalty, and then a little bit further time loss, and it slips away. Well, here is a paddler who could threaten the top of the leaderboard for sure. Lucien Delfour of Australia, because he is always quick and he has a really high risk-taking style. I love watching him paddle, but it can bring your heart to your mouth. Let's watch him through this top section. You'd expect him to be straight lining as much as he can. 0.87 the deficit. He's in touch. We know just how quick Pavel Igel was on the top section.
Look at that. That's probably the fastest we have seen that double up done. Oh, but just a little bit necking there. Little tail tap. Maybe not getting the bounce into that up left quite as well as he wanted to. But now he's got to put that behind him, accelerate, and just drive through these last offsets.
So Lucien Delfour is in touch. 0.4 down on Pavel Igel of the Russian Federation. So on course at the moment for at least second place. Can he squeeze it a bit more and get into the top of the leaderboard? So we're going to be down to this move now on gate 23. Well, he made that look so easy, didn't he? Just composed, drop over.
Yeah, very smooth. Maybe just a tiny bit hung up, but it's looking like it's probably going to be a new race lead. Oh,
It's just squeezed out, but he does find a bit more time on the bottom section, so he built down that run. And 85.72, Lucien Delfour of Australia has put himself right in the mix for a place in the final, and certainly he has put Australia in a great place to qualify a boat for the Tokyo Olympic Games. But it is still Pavel Igel leading for the Russian Federation ahead of Lucien Delfour of Australia. Then in third place, Samuel Hernandez of Spain. So we've had 17 boats down this men's K1 semi-final. We've got 40 boats in total, so still 23 to go. And on course now it is Mathurin Madora of France, who was silver medalist at the Under-23 World Championships earlier on this season. And very much a form boat. He has made a final of the Senior World Cup Series in Bratislava, the second World Cup of the season. And the French team have been using the World Cups and a variety of races for their Olympic selection process. They haven't been doing all of the races. So 1.34 down, that's quite a lot to chase at the top part of the course.
Very tight on the exit there from gate 11. Wow, and just extending that neck and head as far back as he can. It's going to be up to the judges to decide what he did there. Well, very difficult to see. His head was just behind the wave for us, and it was a little hard to tell.
And the sport has become so much more of an agility sport. Yes, it's a power sport. It's technical, tactical for sure, and the agility required to compete in all the categories at the top end is ever increasing. You almost need the skills of a gymnast as well. It's a good upstream on 23, but 2.35 down on the second split. Is he able to make any of that up? It's going to be outside and into third place. Mathurin Madora of France goes into the leaderboard. A respectable run, clean run, and again noticeable, the top five all clean.
It was another good example of watching that time ebb and flow, as you talked about before. You know, down 1.34 seconds at the top. Oh, and a last minute 50-second penalty added on 12. And that was that gate we were talking about where his head just ducked behind the wave, really overextending, trying to get his head into it, and just didn't go his way.
Yes, and I know there'll be some better camera angles than the one we had on that. That's why it would have just taken a little bit longer to get that on. But disappointment there for Mathurin Madora of France, who now drops down to 15th place. So New Zealand will be watching as we have Jack Danjan on course now with his launch towards hoping to get the Olympic boat quota place and a place in the World Championship final. Ducking through 7 and 8, 3.5 seconds down on the top part of the course, and getting the pace right on this course is quite tricky, isn't it? Because if you go out too hard at the top and you've not got anything left in the bottom part of the course, then whatever hard work you might have done at the top gets wasted. Great move on 13 to 14.
Yes, very clean bounce into the upstream.
So Jack Danjan representing New Zealand. Now he's trimmed it a bit, 2.94. It's a respectable run coming together, and the boat quota place is reliant on this one paddler.
Just a little bit hesitant with his sweep there in the up left. Ended up exiting a little bit higher than he wanted to. Getting a little bit hung up here in the last upright. Just a little short on the way to the second to last downstream.
Well, 2-second penalty. It's all gone a bit wrong at the bottom part of the course. 14th place for Jack Danjan of New Zealand. But, well, we'll have to wait and see. I'm not going to call that, but I think it probably puts him in a good position to qualify a boat quota place.
It's really interesting, these World Championships. It's almost like there are two separate races going on. Everybody's wanting to do super well in World Championships, of course, but then everybody's also thinking about that Olympic quota spot.
Yes, it's like looking forward, attacking, but equally looking in your mirrors to try and protect and make sure you've got the tactical game on that front as well. So Timothy Anderson now for Australia on course, the 25-year-old, and well, he's shown this season he can be super quick, and he's super light. His power to weight ratio really good, and that is really the measure, isn't it, in the sport of canoe slalom. If you've got a big frame, you've got to be able to deliver the bigger power.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see just in that corner there as he was sprinting around through the flat water, he does ride on top of the water very nicely. He's got good power. He kept the boat moving well. He's about 1.7 seconds back, but, you know, that's, again, just an example. Oh, did I see a tiny bow touch? I did. Oh,
eagle eyes there, Casey. So you did, and Timothy Anderson really demonstrated what we were talking about the agility and the gymnastics sort of element of the sport.
Yes, absolutely. Getting a very nice bounce into that up left and now into these last staggers.
So 3.27. So it is actually a competitive time, but that 2-second penalty is expensive.
Nice. Leaning that chin back a little bit to make sure he gets its head into that upstream.
So you have to get your whole head inside the gate.
Very tight low line to this upstream or downstream rather.
Well, he's certainly given it his all. He's left nothing on the river. Tim Anderson of Australia into 6th place, and it is a quick time, 86.37. 2-second penalty on the upstream gate 11, and well, he should be proud of that. He's done a good time down the course, but it is still Pavel Igel of the Russian Federation leading, 85.44, ahead of Lucien Delfour of Australia. Samuel Hernandez of Spain sitting in 3rd place. And we're actually at the halfway point. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah. No. We it's interesting because we are about halfway, and it's been a little while since we've seen the top 3 really be altered that much. You know, it's just a
well, that's a good observation.
Surprising. I think that it's just another good example of how much stress and pressure these guys are carrying, and so how much they're willing to risk, and it's so far not paying off as much as maybe they would like.
Yeah, and it'd be interesting to see how many of the top boats still to come have actually been watching the early runners to make some final decisions on just the kind of margins they might cut.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course, Mario Leitner of Austria, who was 13th at the Rio Olympic Games, junior world champion in 2014, and very much capable of getting in, but he's put too much edge on the hole. Just gave a bit of
and a little touch on the exit, I think.
You're right there. So Mario Leitner suddenly gets onto his back foot, already 3 seconds down at the split, now 5.4. That's a big mountain to climb. It's a beautiful move on the upstream gate 20 though, a great camera angle, and the precision required. It's the skills that these athletes demonstrate really are supreme. Mario Leitner though is not going to make it through into the top 10 on this occasion for Austria, only 13th place, and it's that 2-second penalty, and still the top 4 boats now are clean. Felix Oschmaus is the top Austrian in 5th place, so Austria well placed to get a boat quota place, and still Ben Hayward of Canada sitting nicely up there in 4th place. That early run, he was pretty early off in the order, 6th off, and holding firm 4th at the moment. So the second of 3 Germans in this semi-final of the World Championships now on course. Fabian Schweikert. Now, the Germans paddle with quite a distinctive style, don't they? Really attacking, aggressive men's kayak style. Hugely powerful. And coming down towards that split, it's going to be outside the split. No one's getting close to Pavel Eigel's split on the top section.
Yeah, I really want to rewatch his top part of the course. You know, it's funny because as we were watching it, I didn't really notice anything particularly spectacular, but he must have just really had that boat moving super well on the water. And now we just see time and time again another more examples of how quick that really was.
So Fabian's done nothing wrong so far, but he's trailing by 1.74 over the race leader, Eigel of the Russian Federation. And now 2.39, it's grown slightly. And keeping it clean, keeping it honest here as he comes into 20.
Just in a little bit of an awkward place, not willing to commit to that sweep to get himself up and out. Dropping into the last upstream here, opting for a little bit more of a traditional upstream, but it gives him a better line. Oh, just a little hung up on the bow. Wow, and I wonder if he made it to that downstream.
Well, he hasn't. 50-second penalty on the last gate. Cruel this sport could be. You do nothing wrong for 24 gates, and then the sting in the tail. Unfortunately, there we see it. Not negotiating the whole head through the gate and incurring a 50-second penalty. So Germany's Fabian Schweikert goes out of the order there. And it is still Pavel Eigel leading for the Russian Federation. Lucien Delfour for Australia in second. Samuel Hernandez of Spain in third. Now Pedro Goncalves of Brazil is on course, better known as Pepe. 6th at the Rio Olympic Games and a real character on the circuit. Always attacks on his run, and when it goes right, then he gets good results. 1.32, and I would actually say that's in touch.
I would say so. He's definitely showing very competitive. Wow, very brave there with that upstream. Just a little bit hung up here in the second of the 2, but that's probably not too much of a concern at the moment. He's going to be looking for this nice bounce here. Pretty good.
That's very good there. So Pepe Goncalves now coming down through gate 15, 16, 17. We'll get an indication of whether he's closed the gap. Well, it hasn't grown, 1.13. And actually, well, that's still in touch with the top 3.
Oh, I'm falling a little bit low here.
So important, isn't it, on that upstream gate 20? If you're not up on the, if you're not in touch and early on it, then the options sink away as to getting the really quick line.
Yeah, it's a good way to show how important the lines are. If you start to fall off of your lines in the gates before, the farther you get down, the more it compiles, and it makes it harder and harder to stay on time and to be early to gates like that upstream. If you're just a little bit late in that stagger above it, it's going to make it really difficult to get in there high and to be able to go for that sweep upstream.
Yeah, and that's what we saw with Pepe, and it is the bottom section that proved costly for him, and into 11th place. So now, well, that looks like a replay of Fabian Schweikert as we now look towards the top of the course, because it is Quentin Bourgie of France, bronze medalist at the European Championships earlier on this season. And, well, he's a silver medalist in the 2014 European Championships. Again, this was the example of, in the French team, if you don't get the opportunity to be in the senior team every year, so when you get the opportunity, you've got to make the most of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Just give it your all. Quentin has a really strong and aggressive style. It's not too far off the time, just about half a second back.
0.58 is good, isn't it? And to Pavel Eigel of the Russian Federation, the French crowd really making noise here. They've made the journey over the Pyrenees, and well, he's up. 0.51 up. It's deceptively fast from Bourget of France.
Found himself an entire second. Just a little tail tap there, and that's going to take away some of that advantage that he found.
Well, let's watch now into the final 3 gates. He's brilliantly done that. And now,
wow,
so easy, isn't it,
a little hung up,
to hesitate there, and then you just pay a little bit of price on the clock. Quentin Bourget of France into 3rd place. So again, ebbs and flows. Deficit at the top. He was up on the middle and then just slipped away a bit at the bottom, but he's into 3rd place, and it's still Pavel Eigel leading for the Russian Federation.
I think what we're seeing now more and more is as people really try to risk on that last upstream, they might be able to do the upstream pretty well, but then the exit seems to be the issue. They're coming out and they're leaning downstream a little bit. They're putting the edge, building up pressure in the eddy on the other side of the river, and it's just getting stuck, and it's just making it difficult for them to get that boat moving back downstream.
So next up, it is Belgium's Mathieu Dobie, who, well, he definitely is capable of being fast, but a 2-second penalty early on that spin. Choosing to spin. We've seen a few people take that riskier forward option. And Mathieu, he was in the European Championship final in 2013, and that was probably when he was paddling at his best. He has made a final as well in 2016, but a penalty on 3, and now another penalty on the upstream 10, and well, we've seen there's no way back into the top 10 once you've picked up that kind of addition.
Still maintaining composure though, getting a very nice bounce into the upstream.
Yeah, definitely showing his skills as a top elite paddler, and really got the feel for the white water. But 7 seconds now, the deficit for Mathieu Dobie of Belgium. And again, Belgium looking for that Olympic boat quota place, so it's still all to play for. He may not make it into the final, but every second will count as he strives to be in that top 18 nations from the 21 in this men's K1 semi-final. So another penalty picked up on the upstream, gate 20, and into 20th place for Mathieu Dobie of Belgium. So it is Pavel Eigel still leading for the Russian Federation, and we still have we have 15 boats to go in this men's K1 semi-final. We're live from the Spanish Pyrenees. It's the World Championships 2019 and the ICF Canoe Slalom event, and just 10 boats will go through into the World Championship final from the 40 starters in the semi-final. Well, here's a name to watch, because Boris Neveu of France, he is the 2014 World Champion, but he was on the podium here 10 years ago at the World Championships, last time they were held here.
Yeah, already just a little bit of trouble in the gate 3. Clearly he wanted to go for the direct, but that bow just got caught up a little bit in the eddy and forced him to do the spin. So great reaction to be able to just turn it into something else and just get it done and get going again. We'll see a reflection, 2.5 seconds. So it's not too terribly far off, but that is a bit of a hill to have to climb.
Yep, he's was on the podium actually the last World Cup race of the season, bronze medal. He was 4th last year at the World Championship, so he's got a great record at World Championship level. And well, he's putting a solid run in together, but he's left the door open, hasn't he? 2.5 at the top. Can he close it down a little bit on this next section? We'll get an indication now. Yes, he has, 1.1. And the French quite familiar with this course because they quite often use it as part of their selection series. Oh, it's all gone. That's it. It's game over for Boris in terms of a place in the World Championship final, but still needing to just get one in to make sure that France are in the mix for the Olympic boat quota place.
Oh, and to add insult to injury, also picking up a 2-second penalty on that gate. A little bit hung up in the last upstream and downstreams.
So only 19th for Boris Neveu, and that's a bit of a surprise. I would have had him down as one of those bankers. Such a consistent paddler, and his World Championship record is outstanding. Yeah,
he's going to be kicking himself a little bit. You know, he did such a great job to find so much time back and then just rush that upstream just a little bit. You know, this is actually the first that we've seen someone come in too high today. You know, a lot of times we're seeing people come in a little bit low, but this time he managed to find his way there really quickly.
So we're straight into Zeno Ivaldi's run now for Italy on the top of the course, and a World Championship medalist at under 23 level. And the Italian kayaks, you always know, are going to be quick. We still have Giovanni Di Gennaro to come, who, well, is a World Cup winner this season. But what can Ivaldi of Italy do? 0.7, well, that's pretty good.
Yes, very much in touch. A little bit of necking in that offset there. That is a very tight stagger, so it's not surprising that athletes are willing to try and risk there a bit. Very nice double up here, keeping the boat moving well. Jumping on top of the waves, setting up for this bounce, going for a very direct line. It's paid off.
Superb.
Good momentum out. Just a little bit hung up, but that's not a problem. Now to accelerate through this flatter section.
So now Zeno Ivaldi of Italy has closed the deficit. 0.27, he's halved it. And if he can hold on to this, then he'll be in the mix for a place in the World Championship final. Drags it out of 20. And now, just takes a penalty and ruins a great run.
Very direct 24. Just gets his head in there. But he's just going to be a little bit behind.
Oh, that's so cruel. 87.97. Zeno Ivaldi of Italy goes into 7th place. And, well, he did very little wrong there, didn't he? And you almost think it's that gate 22 has caused a few problems. You almost think the athletes are focusing on the line for 23 before they've actually finished doing gate 22.
Yeah, it's very easy to get ahead of yourself when you're out there. You're maybe concerned about a particular move. We've seen a lot of athletes have issues with that upstream. And yeah, so their minds are probably there already before they're even out of the offset before it.
So the second Brazilian paddler in this World Championship semi-final here. And it is Guilherme Rodrigues of Brazil now coming down at the top of the course. Already we've seen Pedro Goncalves go down. He's 13th place at the moment. So actually Brazil looking confident of qualifying a place for the Olympic Games in 2020 in Tokyo. Just 299 days away.
Can't believe it's coming up so quickly.
And 2.84 the deficit at the moment. So a little bit of work to do and more work to do now.
He seems to have had the same feeling I just had. I was concerned that when his blade hit that gate pole that it actually knocked it the wrong way around his head. So I think it was a wise decision to loop back, go back for it. Otherwise he would most likely would have been seen at 50-second penalty. Just a little bit up on the edge there for the bounce. So falling a little bit low. I think now his focus should just be trying to regain that composure and just put down as best a run he can for the second half of the course.
Yeah, and I think the Brazilian team, my understanding is their selection for the Olympic Games will be next year. So it is all about qualifying the boat quota place here and then going back to Brazil and fighting it out next year to qualify, well, to see who actually goes and represents Brazil. Another penalty there on 21. Now tight into 23. And it is Guilherme Rodrigues of Brazil. It's not going to be a World Championship final today. Just that mistake on gate 10 proving costly indeed. Into 23rd place for him. And well, we are down to 12 boats still to go in this World Championship semi-final. So not long before we start to confirm who is into that World Championship final. And at the moment, Pavel Igel of the Russian Federation sitting pretty at the top of the leaderboard with a time of 85.44, which is looking increasingly hard to challenge. So here is Michael Smolin of the United States of America, the only representative of the USA in this semi-final. He's a World Championship bronze medalist in 2015. He's 12th at the Rio Olympic Games. Hasn't had the season that he might have liked, though, in 2019. No finals yet, but very capable of getting in there.
Coming into this double upstream. Nice little punt here. Looking to keep the line clean into the up. Fairly stable. Maybe not quite as quick as he would have looked for, but he's jumping over the waves nicely. Good little bounce here. Just get that sweep in there. All right, and off he goes. Now time to accelerate for Michal. You can hear father and coach Raffel Smolin on the side of the course running with him.
So we'll see on the split, it's gone the wrong direction, 3.72 now the time. So it's solid. Remember, the Olympic boat quota place is up for grabs as well, so it's not just about the World Championship final, but Michal will have his eyes set on that because he's very capable of doing that. He's a former medalist at the World Championships. It's a solid run. He's going to dig as deep as he can go.
Push, buddy.
And it's outside of the top 10 into 12th place for Michal Smolin of the United States of America. So disappointment there for him personally around the World Championship final, but that surely will be enough for a boat quota place for the United States. Just looked like the flow didn't quite happen. He didn't do a lot wrong, but neither did he find the real sweet spot in the gates. So 11 boats to go, and on course for Portugal, Antoine Launay, who was 13th at the 2017 World Championships and 10th overall in the World Cup standings this season. So he's consistent. He's definitely made a couple of World Cup finals.
Very nice head duck there to the punt in gate 5, getting in and out very quickly. I'll be curious to see how this reflects in the first split time. Still going to be a little bit behind, but that's 1.38 is very respectable on the top first split. Still just proving how great Pavel's top really was.
Yeah, well, we said early on, didn't we, that we thought it was enough to make the final. Well, it very much is, and it won't be long before he'll get confirmed into the World Championship final.
Very nice bounce there.
Antoine Launay, precision there. No margin for error, but surely that will be good and find him a bit of time against the clock. Wow, he is close. 0.18 down on Igor of the Russian Federation. And if he can hold on to this, then he will be putting himself in a prime seat to get into that final.
Very nice. You could see he was still maintaining that precision in the offset before this upright. Kept the upright very nice, driving the boat well on the good water. He's accelerating, and we might have new race lead.
We do.
Very good.
84.94. Antoine Launay, you are the race leader, and surely you will be into the World Championship final. Portugal, well, you've surely got a place at the Olympic Games in Tokyo 2020. You can see what that means to him.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was a great run. You know, we saw he was down almost a second and a half at the top, but by the time he reached the bottom, he just was steadily chipping away and found himself a whole half a second up on the leader before him.
So here is the defending world champion of 2018. He won it in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. It is Hannes Aigner of Germany on course. He's got a great record. He's a bronze medalist at the 2012 Olympic Games, but he's taken an early penalty on gate 3.
Yeah, unfortunately just falling off of the line that he was looking for, a little bit too tight. Had to really extend that neck to get back in there, and I think that the touch, honestly, was kind of the best result for the situation that he was in.
Yeah, and the two Germans so far down the course, not inside the top 20. So all the expectations rest on Hannes Aigner as he comes into the upstream 11. Wow, that's good.
Very nice, yes. You know, first split time actually showed that his raw is still really in touch. Unfortunately, that 2-second penalty just holding him back, but he is really pushing, trying to keep that boat moving well, and there's that German acceleration right there, driving the boat nice and straight through this offset and flat section.
So assuming that Germany qualify a boat quota place here, then it is actually Hannes Aigner who will go to the games. So a double,
very nice here.
Double move, and I think he could be the first person to squeak into the top 3 with a penalty.
Oh, just a little bit hung up in the last upstream, but he's very powerful and he's showing it, driving through these last downstreams.
Hannes
he is
Aigner
going to attack it.
Is going to be close, but 5th place for Hannes Aigner. It's a quick time, 85.22, would have been good enough for 2nd place, but that 2-second penalty means he's going to have to wait. But that's good news for Antoine Launay of Portugal, because he is our first qualifier to the World Championship final. That final will be live from La Seu Urgell in Spain here, and 12 o'clock Central European time. The women's C1 time final gets underway, and then the men's K1 follows on from that, so you can join us live. So Spain's David Lorente on course now, 2015 under-23 world medalist, and has put some really blistering runs together in qualification over the course of the World Cup season. Hasn't necessarily followed them through, but surely on his home water you would favour him to produce something special.
Yeah, already in these first 8 gates or so, we've seen some very good familiarity. Oh, look at that. Almost, a little over a second up on the split time in the top. And we know that there's time to be gained in the bottom. So I'm really curious to see if he can maintain this all the way through and what kind of time we can be looking at.
And of course they took a medal in the team event, the Spanish team, and that will have given a real boost in this men's K1 event.
Very nice. Just a little bit up on the tail there, but he's going to be looking to accelerate, drive that boat really well through this flat section.
So it's Pavel Eigel at the moment of the Russian Federation looking for that next spot in the final, and David Lorente just down a little bit now on Antoine Launay of Portugal, but very much in charge as he comes down the course, and surely is going to book a place in the final for Spain.
Just a little bit more of a traditional upright there, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad idea. It gives him a little bit of a better line here, and now he just needs to drive it.
And drive it he does, and he's coming into 4th place, so he's in the box seat, but he's going to have to just wait and see. David Lorente of Spain into 4th, and that means that Pavel Eigel of the Russian Federation, leader for so long, until just a few paddlers down, is into the final for the Russian Federation. Lucien Delfour of Australia sitting in 3rd at the moment, and well, surely it won't be long before he gets confirmed into the final, but we have got some big names to come. And here's one, Bradley Forbes-Grimes of Great Britain, the Flying Scotsman, is on course. It was silver at the 2018 under-23 World Championships.
Taking very direct lines so far. He is really going for it. Nice little wall punt here, getting himself out of the wave. Oh, unfortunately just picking up a penalty on that downstream there.
Well, let's watch as he comes down into this double upstream sequence, 9 and 10.
Oh, maybe it was a water touch. Maybe it was my bad.
Well, 10
He's
and 11.
very much in touch.
Well, we'll have to wait and see, but Bradley Forbes-Grimes now sneaks out of 11, and he was only 0.22 down on the current race leader on the early split. That's a brilliant line, 13 to 14.
Very nice.
So lots at stake still. Joe Clark of Great Britain, the Olympic champion, to come in this semi-final. And Bradley Forbes-Grimes, well, he's lost a bit of time, but he's still in touch for a place in the final as he comes down towards 20. This is the make or break move as well, and it's good for Bradley.
Very cleanly through that upstream. Nice stagger here, coming into the last upright.
Super tight.
Excellent.
And delivers the move. Bradley just needs to steer it home, and he surely will contest a place in the final. 4th place, and well, he will have to wait and see, but a great run for Bradley Forbes-Grimes of Great Britain. Lucien Delfour is confirmed for Australia into the final, and Bradley Forbes-Grimes is next in line. Wow, this is tight racing.
Well, I have to apologize to him. I totally thought that was a penalty, but it's just a water touch, I think. Probably as he hit this wave here on the exit, splashing a lot of water over that gape hole.
So, well, just shows the precision you need in order to make it to the World Championship final. There's absolutely no margin for any errors. Well, here is the 3rd Spanish paddler on course, Juan Crespo of Spain, who has, well, he has made finals before, but he's a real specialist on this sail course.
Absolutely. He is looking very smooth. So far, he's been very nicely on top of the water, just keeping that boat momentum moving very well, sprinting through this flat corner.
So let's watch.
Very much in touch.
Just 4 100ths down, and Juan Crespo looking super smooth.
Getting a
Deceptively fast.
nice surf on that curler into the second of the double up. You can see his patience here. This is total knowledge of the course. He knows exactly where to take a little break, hang out, and let the water do the work for him.
Yeah, super composed now. So surely he's going to be up as he comes through the split. Well, no, 0.59, but absolutely in contention for a place in the final. At the moment, it's David Lorente is the top Spanish paddler, lying in 5th place, so in the mix, but still waiting confirmation. Juan Crespo, well, cutting the lines there.
Very direct into that upstream.
And it's a quick time, 81.82. It's going to be new lead time, is it? No, just outside of that. Into 5th place for Juan Crespo, but importantly for him, oh, well, no, that means Bradley Forbes-Cryans has gone into the final. So Antoine Launay of Portugal, Pavel Eigel of the Russian Federation, Lucien Delfour of Australia, Bradley Forbes-Cryans of Great Britain, all qualified into the final. 6 boats still to go in this World Championship semi-final, and here is a big name. In fact, this is Peter Kauser of Slovenia, who won his first world title here 10 years ago and still is at the top of his game.
I know, it's really amazing to watch some of these athletes. They have just such great skill and understanding of how things work that they can have these careers where they really just remain on the top for incredibly long periods of time, and it's just a testament to their ability and skill.
So let's watch Peter Kauser, the Olympic silver medalist from Rio 2016, who's absolutely in touch of the early split and really good through 10 and 11.
Very nice so far. Opting for the double punt, I like that. That looked very smooth. Being patient here with the bounce, very cleanly into the up left.
Well, as he comes down, you always expect Peter Kauser to be silky smooth, but well, I wouldn't want to be his paddle because the kind of forces that go through that paddle are significant. But has he asked too much on 17? We'll have to wait and see.
I fear for him on that one.
So Peter Kauser now coming through 21 and 22. Now into the upstream 23. Brilliantly done. It is a quick time from Peter Kauser.
Excellent through the upstream into the last downs. Just gonna be a little bit behind though.
Into 8th place for Peter Kauser of Slovenia, and still 5 boats to go. And of course there is an asterisk showing by his name, and I suspect they'll be looking at gate 17 to see just whether he did that gate correctly. That's a different gate. That's not the gate we were referring to on the screen at the moment. But Peter Kauser, well, is at risk. But that's good news for Spain because Juan Crespo goes into the final. And we have 5 boats to go. Now here is a super consistent paddler. Yuri Priskovic of the Czech Republic, the world champion of 2015, the Olympic bronze medalist of 2016. And he's been super consistent across the World Cup this season. He won it overall, but he's only been off the podium once, and well, that was 4th place.
He is a really incredible paddler. He has a very unique technique. Oh my goodness, look at that. Almost a second up on the split. He is smashing this top part of the course. Excellent punt here into the first of the double up. Second punt again. Very similar to how Peter went about this double upstream. Now jumping over the waves nicely, setting up for the move, taking a very direct line.
And I think Peter Kauser has been given a 50-second penalty, unfortunately, because he's dropped down to 30th place. So that is a big shock. He won't be in the final.
Yeah, very unfortunate for Peter. Lost a little bit of time here for Yuri, but he still has an advantage coming into these last few gates. Very tidy through there. Now to just run his way through this last stagger.
I always love watching Yuri at the bottom in these kind of, even in the semi-final, he may well cruise the last couple of gates. He's that confident that he's done enough.
Yeah, very cleanly through these last gates. And I would say,
He does.
there it is.
There it is, the cruise. And Yuri Priskovic goes into the race lead, but he shows there's still something in the tank.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Wow, quality, 84-34, Yuri Priskovic, well done, you're in the final, and you're clearly showing us you've got something still to come in that final later on. 12 o'clock Central European time. That final starts with the women's C1 10-boat final and then straight into this 10-boat men's kayak final. But Yuri Priskovich, he just has that confidence, even though he knows that the margins here will be tight.
Yeah.
So 4 to go, and it is now Vit Prindiš of the Czech Republic. So he was a silver medalist at the World Championships in 2017. I think he missed the team in 2018, very much back in action. And, well, he won the World Cup in Magdeburg in Germany. And then he was strong on his home water in Prague in the Czech Republic just 3 weeks ago at the World Cup final. 0.78 down. Well, it's perhaps not what you'd expect of Vit Prindiš, but it's very much in the mix for a place in the final.
We also have to take into consideration that this is now Yuri's split on the top after we watched Pavel Eigel's very incredibly quick top. So somewhere Yuri found some time. So this is a very respectable top split now coming in into the second split. He's going to be driving, looking to keep that boat moving very well. Close that deficit just a little bit.
Yeah, he's doing what it takes, isn't he? He's not taking any risks, which actually he quite often does, and he's needs to get the job done, get into the top 10, and then fight it out. Now, this does count towards the Czech Olympics. It's most of it will be done next year, but the World Championships, I think, if they get medals, there are bonus points up for grabs. Vit Prindiš, though, safely through the course and surely into the final. Yes, in 4th place. Job done. Well done, Vit. We'll see you later in the final. So it is Priskovich, Lorne, Eigel, Prindiš, Delfour, Forbes, Cryans and Crespo, our qualifiers at the moment. We have Spain's David Lorente sitting in 8th place, waiting to see if he's done enough with 3 to go. Yeah, and the third from last to go, third in the heats. It's Giovanni De Gennaro of Italy, World Cup winner at the 3rd World Cup of the season, and actually he has 3 World Cup wins to his name over his career. Quality paddler, and you can always expect him to take some exciting lines down the course.
Gio is a very powerful, and you often see that in his stroke rate. A little bit lower, but such power that he accelerates really well off of each stroke. Very respectable first split here, less than half a second behind.
And he's a great example of the change of pace you need down a slalom run as to when you attack and when you feel the water. And he's doing that to perfection. Like you say, half a second down, he's doing absolutely what's required for a place in the final.
Very nice bounce here, opting for a slightly wider line, but it gave him a little bit of a hook right up into the upstream, so it meant he could just get in and out really quickly. Now great power here, pushing through that flat section.
So 0.73 down, that's well inside the margin needed to make it into the final. And he's comfortable on 20, but his ear, was that his ear touching the it was
must
that
have
close.
Been.
Well, suddenly he's on the back foot there. One more gate to go, and he's paddling through for a place in the final, and 13th. And that's a big shock. Giovanni De Gennaro of Italy, the slightest of touches on the upstream gate 20. And, well, that is the consequence. Let's watch it now. There, just his helmet there, brushing the pole. Doesn't matter how hard you hit the pole, it is a 2-second penalty. And, well, our sport can be cruel at times.
It is, but that's good news for David Lorente, who's now got his ticket into the finals.
2 Spanish boats in this World Championship final as we watch the world number 1, the Olympic champion, Joe Clark for Great Britain, is on course. Already, Bradley Forbes Cryans is in the final for Great Britain. And now Joe Clark, the winner of the first World Cup of the season. And he is well, 6th at the 3rd World Cup of the season and 8th in Prague. So all the World Cups he's made the final so far this season. Half a second down on the top split, and well, that's the job. Now, was that a water splash or was that the body?
I'm wondering that very same thing myself, but it was very tidy through this double up, so if there is no touch, then that was excellent work. Just a little bit low on the bounce here into the up left.
So Joe Clark now coming down through gate 15. So he was half a second down on the first split. He is now up. Virtual race leader. 0.19 is the margin, and how tight the margins are.
Just the tiniest of tail taps there on the wall, but he manages it well, gets out of the upstream. Great job through that stagger, taking the nice tight line here, and now use that power, Joe.
86.62 is the time he needs to beat to automatically go into the final. He's going to be well inside that, and he goes into the race lead, into second place, apologies, 84.36 by just 2/100ths of a second. The Olympic champion for Great Britain is in the final. So Yuri Priskovic still leading for the Czech Republic. Joe Clark goes into second place for Great Britain. Antoine Launay of Portugal in third. And wow, we have 2 British boats in the final, 2 Spanish boats in the final, and 2 Czech boats in the final. And still 1 place to determine, and it's effectively France's Quentin Bergy sitting in 10th place, ahead of Slovakia's Jakub Grigar, who is on course. So 2-time under 23 world champion, and 2016 was his season really. He came onto the scene and had superb performances in the World Cup season, and at the Rio Olympic Games he finished 5th.
Up on the split so far, so he's having a great top part of his course here, coming into the double up, really extending himself there. Oh, just a little bit buried on the bow, but he manages it well, gets himself unstuck, and gets the boat moving again.
And surprisingly for the Slovakian team, he's the only representative in this semi-final, so all the Olympic boat quota relies on him producing a performance, but let's hope he's not thinking about that too much right now. Yeah, you wouldn't bet against him. He's an awesome paddler. 0.16 down. That's absolutely what's needed at this stage in the competition. If he holds that, then he will be in the World Championship final. So here he is, Jakub Grigar for Slovakia. And this move, gate 23, hasn't cost as many reputations as I thought. I thought it might have a little bit more damage to a few people, but Jakub Grigar now, it's going to be tight. But he is into 10th place, but I don't think he planned to be that close.
That was a close.
Well, Jakub Grigar snatches the last place in the final there for Slovakia. Quentin Bergy, unfortunately for France, no representatives in the World Championship final. 11th place for their top boat, Quentin Bergy. But wow, this has opened up. It is 2.07 seconds, the difference between the lead, Yuri Priskovic of the Czech Republic, and Jakub Grigar in 10th place for Slovakia. What a men's kayak semi-final. Your reflections there, Casey?
That was some truly incredible racing. We saw how tight things can get. But I'm really excited to see what Yuri Priskovic throws down, because we saw him back off on those last couple of strokes to the finish line. With the time clock right in sight of the finish line, sometimes those athletes look up and they're like, meh, that's all right.
Yeah, and wow, that's confidence. I would say it's confidence rather than arrogance, but here is the classification for the men's kayak semi-final. The top 10 there on our screen, they are our qualifiers. And big surprise, no Peter Kauza from Slovenia eliminated, but Yuri Priskovic will go off last in the final, the world champion of 2015, and then there's the Olympic champion for Great Britain, Joe Clark, goes off as the penultimate boat. The defending world champion, Hannes Eigner, not in the final either for Germany. And some other big names, well, the likes of Mikhail Smolin of the United States, and of course what we talked about, Peter Kauza, the 2-time world champion, the Olympic silver medalist from Rio. A 50-second penalty. Well, he'd already put himself a little bit on the back foot, but that 50-second penalty secured his destiny. So that concludes the action here, but we'll be back in 45 minutes time for the women's C1 final, and then immediately followed by the men's K1 final. It is, well, whether Yuri Priskovic in the men's K1 final can find even more time. That 84.34 was his raw time, and that's going to take some beating.
I'd love it if one of these gentlemen give me that 83 that I was looking for.
Well, it's been a great World Championship semi-final here in the women's C1 and the men's K1. Here live from La Seu Urgel in the Spanish Pyrenees, and in this competition we'll be into the sharp end and we'll crown the world champions in those finals. They get underway 12 o'clock Central European time. So from myself, Andy Maddock, and from Casey Eichfeldt, it's goodbye for now.